Also not on YouTube. Now I am. Oh, our shotgun damage is bad. That is really bad. 740. Weird. How much should it be? How much should it be? We have 300% XP gain. Still missing everything. 1,100. So I'll drop to say hi and how you doing? Alright man, thanks. How are you doing? I keep forgetting asking people that. Because I'm very unsocial. I'm just assuming everybody's okay. If they're not, they will definitely tell you about it though, right?
You don't see these every day.
So it's like a redundant question. Yeah. Hit me up on Discord whenever. About to spectate the race. Oh, the race.
This one.
Is it enjoyable for you? Can't believe that it's enjoyable. Yeah, I didn't have a good stream. Alright man, bye bye. The race. We're gonna watch some video later. 2-hour video of all the Fallout shelters, because I have no idea about that. So if anybody's interested in that, definitely stay here for that. Definitely stay. Can't say when though. We should be rerolling more into damage now. Otherwise we get flogged. I hate how small this map is. Okay. XP gain. Oh man. You baiting, bitch. Oh, we got what we needed, that's nice. Got what we needed. What is he doing there? Was he stuck there the whole time? Can't he dig? Fuck yeah, 20%. Not bad. I don't know if there's any way for me to take a low amount of damage in this game, on this round, on this map. I guess only if I had like gigantic amounts of armor. Stop is buff confirmed. Wait, what? What are you talking about? What would... First of all, safe, no. Second of all, what kind of buff?
Dial it in. You're cute.
Bigger map? More stone?
This hard thinks it can kill us.
I'd go for more stone. Oh wait, more stone doesn't help anymore. Except for XP, yeah. For XP it does help. I did not see that somehow. It's so big though. How did I not see it? Come on, XP or shotgun damage. Okay.
This is gonna help me be a perfect war.
I have to keep running after this. He's jumping.
Yeah.
Well done, you got them all.
That's all you got, you slippery shit.
I think fire is also good, right?
This works.
Yeah, we're super slow on fire rate right now. We're super slow.
Yeah, give me some sugar.
For a second I thought, damn, the gods are loving us, but no. Not so much love right now.
Now this is a rare treat.
Not so much love. Oh, by the way, you can all go to my YouTube and check out my Godseed run, level 532. Alt patch though. Alt patch.
I'm raring to try this.
You can't go that high anymore, but it's a world record. I'm pretty sure nobody ever got higher than that. I'm also very sure I'm placed 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 or something. Arrogant as I am. I mean, nobody Nobody else did that, right? Nobody else really did that. I think somebody did like a few runs. Getting to level 200, but different way.
Might as well.
Run away from that. I need more mobs. Should I? Yeah, I should. Look at the damage we're doing. Look at the damage we're doing to the sucker. Come on. I'm just gonna get him to the next phase. And now we got some more rocks to destroy. It's not really that much though. Tofu's on crack. That is true. That is true. Sponsored by Adolf. No wait. That was Pervertine. That was not crack actually. That was. I think that's amphetamines. I wonder if cocaine would have been better than amphetamines for soldiers. I wonder.
The bugs are getting worse.
But I guess it's way more expensive. Amphetamine, you can just make that with like laboratory shit. Cocaine, you gotta import that stuff.
Lock it in.
Some cocaine in the chocolate? Why not? Sounds like a good idea.
Threat level increasing.
Damn. I should get myself a timer or something that tells me when red level is actually bad. Yo, I wonder if that would have hurt us. Saw pits just hits different, right? I love saw pits. They're just the bestest. Also, no pits at all, and no salt. Oh wait, yeah, it's actually salt while we're mining. That's why it's so easy to mine. Yeah, that's also one thing that I really liked about this. It's easy to mine, except for the fucking granite. Not that much granite though. XP gain, please. XP gain, please. XP gain, please.
I'm having an epic vision.
400% almost. 391.
It's getting worse down there.
391% XP gain. To be honest, that's still nothing. Like, we need 4 times that much. 4 times. Okay, we're almost at 100 luck though. And 100 luck usually makes our XP gain find better. Yeah. Don't have that much gold.
This one makes me want to be a better dwarf.
Oh shit.
Get it wrapped up, miner.
It's getting laggy.
Stay, the harder it gets.
It's getting a little bit laggy. It looks so nice. Gold, 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 gold. And then XP scanners.
Forever, miner. These bugs aren't your
Yeah, it
friends.
just looks so nice.
That's all you got, you slippery shit.
He's taking so much damage though.
The bugs aren't appreciating your presence, miner. Get the lead out.
I can use this.
Yes, sir. It's still so much XP to get.
This is growing out of hand. Get it done.
I mean, sure, it's still in bug form, but it's still so much XP to get. I have to watch out for the next jump. There it is.
For crap's sake,
Let's get out. This is a good try. I don't want to die. Almost died by turning around.
Now this is a rare treat.
Objective completed. Dreadnought threat eliminated. Well done. Objective completed.
Oh great, it's right here? How am I supposed to get through that?
It will leave without you.
That's like where the whole horde is. That's like where the whole fucking horde is. Look at that.
It's for me.
Time to checking, miner. Move it.
I'll have my vengeance
Hate my
next
life.
time.
They should have been all frozen. They should have all been frozen. Man. That could have been the runnest of runs. That could have been the run. Let me see if somebody's on headliners. No. Fuck that. One more? Okay. Okay, one more. Gonna grab a snack though. Be right back. Got some sweets.
I'm double dipping
That was
on
very
my
sad.
workload. Hazard 5. I believe in myself. Bring in the boom,
Even stuck
baby.
chocolate. Even chocolate gets stuck in my teeth.
This is your chance to master this battle.
Also having a stutter for no reason. Great, can't get that out. Wait, I hate this song. That song is super annoying.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
I'm raring to try this out.
3, 2,
Up or down? Man, restarting feels always so bad because you've already been so strong, right? So leveled up. Also, no chance that we're gonna have a good time now. Like 3 gold scanners again from snails. That chance is like.
This'll do.
I think we calculated that chance before because we know the numbers. Albert did that for me, and yeah. It's really hard to
Can't
get.
drop supplies for you yet. Prep the landing zone for impact.
I'm a better dwarf than yesterday.
That's why usually I always am happy for the Trinity 2. Or just 3 items in general. The 3 clipboards is not, no. Except on Magma Core.
Feeling much better.
Man, we had some Magma Core fun, I swear to God. That was stupid but fun.
Big swarm detected. Buggerman, get ready.
That was a good fucking clear, Mr. Shotgun.
I'm raring to try this out.
Good fucking shot.
Shows clear. Supply pod inbound.
Nice.
Gun.
This one makes me want to be a better dwarf. Whee, not too
I
shabby.
keep.
Legendary. It's my lucky day. I rarely pick one of these.
Keep thinking I can't click on that. I mean, I can, but I should. Baby girl, where you go? What you doing? All the way up here.
We got it! Huzzah! I'll take this one! Overclock! Rock and go!
Okay. Maybe. Maybe, right? Maybe.
Eat that! Bingo! Cowabunga!
Wish we didn't have Grace anymore. No, Grace, no more, please. I need to find those snails again.
Killed the loot bug, and I'm not so proud about it.
Is it here or here? Still no idea. Should have been super clear on the last one.
It's calling to me.
Well, women, they're not very clear about the things they do and say and think, and they are not very.
Red sugar.
Where did the others go? Tell me, are you hiding snails under your fucking... What is it called?
Mineral yours. Ice cold drink. Mineral yours.
Give me that.
Just what I
Okay. Do it again. Oh. No.
Now this is a rare treat.
No, no,
I'm
no.
a better dwarf than yesterday.
That's the last one. Where is the last one? Did it go down? I don't see no trail.
They're getting worse, Miner. Need to move.
Ain't seeing the snail trail. Ain't seeing no snail trail.
Bloody hell, you're hot like this. I'm a new dwarf.
Fucking big piercing. Hello. She's not here. No, she is here.
They're everywhere. Move out, Miner. Get it over with.
Put it down. Ooh-wee, not too shabby.
Not too shabby, he says. Very shabby though.
Two times is best time. Good. I can't aim anyway.
Stage or Hazard 6 when, by the way.
To get your hands dirty. You have what it takes.
Hazard 6 when. That'd be interesting, huh? More upgrades.
I'm a better dwarf than yesterday.
Hello, Mad Side-Eye.
This'll do. You don't see these every day.
Supply pod active. Locate the LZ and prep it for landing.
Wonderful, wonderful warthog.
That looks so nice.
Yoink.
Let me see that again. Beautiful.
This one.
We have no gold.
The scanner just... Box of goodies headed
The
your
scanner,
way, miner.
the scanner's just a box of goodies. That's what the scanner is.
Upgrade.
The scanner's a box of goodies. No wait, the supply box is that. He misspoke. You fucking bitch. Oh. Shouldn't have stayed there.
This is my pick.
Yeah, I like the cookie part from the Duplo. It's so nice. I like that. Bitch. Why you a bitch? I might use that fucking shotgun like Kurt Cockbane.
Trying to escape a dwarf who wants your precious now. Ain't gonna
Want your
happen,
ass.
bug. Gotta have it.
I want the ass. How's that a loot crate? How the fuck are you a loot
Raring
crate?
to try this out.
How are you a loot crate? Oh, I didn't even see which when. 5-9. Okay, who cares? Who cares? I quite frankly don't. Alright.
Pictures of you without me.
2 times is the best.
Here we go.
They're
Scanner,
gonna
scanner,
hear me
scanner
up on the
again.
Space rig.
Maybe.
Prepare to master this bio, miner.
Maybe scanner, scanner, scanner.
This one's so mean. This one makes me want to be a better dwarf.
That looks
I'm gonna be
nice.
the best survivor.
Though if that was XP gain, oh, I would be so happy. I would be so happy.
Warthog, it's the gun for me.
We got too much clutter for the supply pod to land. Do something.
Yeah, I just trusted and it worked. I trusted the shotgun and it shot the gun.
I'll take it.
I guess. Who needs Jesus if you can have a shotgun?
Eno Pearl here.
Honestly speaking. Honestly speaking, who needs a shotgun when you have Jesus? No, the other way around.
Got a supply pod incoming. Well
Should have
done.
worn a hard hat. Stupid.
I almost clicked it again.
This one's so mean.
Man, it's gonna happen soon.
You don't see these every day.
Wait, big Allahu fucking Akbar.
This one
Biggest
makes me wanna
Allahu
be a
fucking
better dwarf.
Akbar ever.
Trying to escape a dwarf who wants your precious mineral. Ain't gonna happen, bug. I rarely go for this one. Just
Yeah.
what the doctor.
We ready to go for that one because it suck. Two and 8. 2 not bad.
Oh, baby.
8.
We got it.
What's this box doing here? You now retake this? Man, no. Man, no. I hate when they do that. They could just not. They could just not do it. Let's be honest. Let's be fair. They could just not do that. Yet they do. Yet they are doing that. Yeah, that's how it is. You're just trolling at this point. That's how you feel at some point, but then you accept that it's definitely not that. It's just super hard to get.
Time to blow up stuff.
It's just super hard to get.
Proud, miner. This is your chance to master this biome.
I wish this guy started with a shotgun, but then you wouldn't have the explosion radius bonus. Yeah, I keep forgetting that. He does have that, right? I bet it says somewhere. Wait, crit damage high on this dude? Explosive radius and explosive reload speed is faster. That is nice.
This works.
That is very nice. This works.
This is my pick.
Fuck it, I'm not doing it for one. I'm not doing it for one.
I'll take it.
It's kinda sad that the bazooka can't mine. That'd be fucking amazing.
Supply pod ready for insertion.
That'd be fucking amazing.
So please clear it out.
Great how he's just laughing while I'm trying to listen to the operator telling us what we need to do. And my little minion says like, I got bug shots. You're not a comedian, you're a miner.
Have a loot box.
Remember that. There's a reason why you're a miner and not a comedian. Or maybe he's trying to switch. First, then
Big
you're
swarm
hard.
detected. Bug up and get ready.
Jordan, flamethrower definitely is hard, yeah.
Heads up.
I like flamethrower turrets more than my own flamethrower
This
though,
one looks best.
I guess.
I'll take this one. I already feel stronger.
I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark.
Oh yeah. Feels rare. Feels right. Mineral secured.
Don't do that.
I
Oh,
want it.
shit. Don't do that to me too. Don't do that. How did I get hit in
This
there?
one's for Carl.
I just opened that fucking mine shaft up and I hit in there.
Took out a loot box.
We're almost dead. And all that for nothing.
Overclock time, baby. Trying to
For
escape a
stupid
court
ass,
wants your precious
empty-
minerals. Ain't gonna happen, bug.
Empty. Empty, empty, empty. Why is it so empty? Shit, I might just ditch and go to headliners. I might just ditch for some headliners. Looks bad today.
I'm double dipping on my workload. I just like making things go boom.
Time to prove that you've mastered this biome.
Yeehaw! This is it.
I'm getting tired, I guess. Did definitely not mean to take that. I lost 15 gold and then I...
Your own fault for being full of goodies.
That's like such a double loss. And now the game thinks, oh, he does
Pretty sweet.
likes it. 2 and 2 dream.
I
Shut the
killed
fuck
loot
up.
bug, and I'm not so proud about it.
2 and 2 dream snails.
Cowabunga!
We could have like 7 items at stage 2. Yeah, that's
Get
crazy.
me precious minerals. It will get you killed.
That's crazy.
Exemplary work. You've achieved your objective in record time.
I barely have
And
any.
unlikely.
ready. Clean up the LZ.
This'll do.
LZ is super far away from us, do you know that? Why not send it like closer to us? The thing is, we gotta clear it out anyways if it's not empty, right? Might as well send it right next to us. Tell me how I'm wrong about that.
Have it.
Tell me how I'm wrong about that.
Swarm detected. Get ready. Landing zone ready. Impact
Should've worn a
imminent.
hard hat. Stupids.
Actually slipping. Why is that
I
slipping?
just became a better dwarf. Looks beautiful. Like
Might be
you.
dumb to just go down after that one.
Give it to me.
Give it to me, baby. Uh-huh. It's not. It's not a stop shot. No. No. Maybe
Trying to
this one
escape a
now.
dwarf who wants your precious minerals. Ain't gonna happen, bud.
Nope.
This. I'm
Makes me
gonna
wanna
do
give up.
something epic with this.
Not even a scanner. Makes me want to give up. But there's 2 snails on 2. It's so fucking rare and good.
Woo, baby.
It's so rare and good.
Gotta have it. This one almost makes it too easy.
Fish. Trader.
Yeah.
Trader. Brought us to your sister. You fucking bitch. You fucking bitch.
Go for this one.
I love when they just rat out their friends.
Trying to escape a dwarf who wants your precious minerals. Ain't gonna happen.
One more scanner, please. Imagine from 3 gold into 3 XP scanners. That would be
Yes, please.
insane. Wait, I still didn't have this one? Oh boy. It really nails the vibe. As long as it doesn't snail the vibe.
Hold it down.
Oh shit. Did we try it?
I'm a better dwarf than yesterday.
Yeah, we tried with this.
Go back to hell. Ah!
Is she rolling into
If it
those
looks
guys?
good, it shoots better. Everyone knows that.
Could have been way better.
This your freaking nature.
That could have been way better.
I'm a better dwarf
That
than
is.
yesterday.
Guess what's on
No
the
batters.
menu?
Not
More
butters.
bugs. And they're pissed.
Tough choice.
I'm retarded.
Yes.
I'm retarded.
Just the upgrade I was looking for.
Okay, I guess we just try and mine. Mines.
Hell yeah.
This ain't a picnic, man.
Bitch, rolling fucker. That's what you get.
It's a little extra special.
That's what he gets, right? He gets tittied, or whatever you call that. Just smooth to play. Hey, no. That's why I do that. Is this engineer? Don't count on me.
Don't mind if I do.
The threat level keeps rising. You have to move, miner.
I just wanted to grab that a little bit. It's on the ground, but no. I dodged that.
That hit the spot.
I dodged that. How do we have so much gold with all the gold scanner?
Tough choice.
Oh yeah, 3 snails. Yeah,
Overclock,
4 snails.
my favorite type of clock.
4 snails might do that.
Better.
Stay away from the scanner. That's a scanner for sure.
Get it done, Miner. The bugs are furious.
Somebody mine that shit for me.
Explosive grenade. Break the pipe.
Somebody mine that shit for me, dude. Now imagine how fucking nice co-op would be in this game. How fucking nice co-op would be. That bitch.
Everywhere. Move out, Miner. Get it over with.
Nuke bug pop.
Co-op double everything. Or actually triple everything. And then co-op.
Diamond duck crate.
Oh,
Legendary.
that was worth it.
I knew today was gonna be.
That was worth it.
Time's running out, Miner. The bugs are getting worse.
Yo, the bad part is,
I'm a new core.
you just have to run back to the magnet and it's like all the way to the left.
If it looks good, it shoots clock. This bug.
Very nice.
Think you can kill me? Well, think again.
Shit, I have to run right now.
Looks beautiful. I need.
Fuck, 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 fuck.
Satisfied. The drop pod is arriving. Get moving. It won't hang around.
Please let me make it. Should be making it.
Give me that.
Free some bitches in front of you.
I just became a better dwarf.
No fucking way, no split up, you shit.
Overclock, my favorite type of clock.
Just disqualified itself. Good job.
I'll take this one. This'll do.
How many levels are we getting from this?
It's calling to me. Power of my
It
gift.
feels like that was a few. We're still on stage 1.
This is a smart thing.
Do I have all the blooms?
Yoinks. Just what I needed.
0 gold.
I'm gonna go with this.
Wasn't really sure if they let me move at all, actually.
One down.
Diving deeper. Taking you to stage
Still
2.
so much left over.
It's calling to me.
42, that's nice.
If it looks good, it shoots.
I can't even
better.
reroll.
Everyone knows that.
Have your
Yeah,
objective.
without gold scanner,
Get it done,
it kind
Miner.
of suck. Without gold scanner start, it kind of suck. Yeah, we're having fun. Oh, I forgot about this. Yo, drop a gold scanner, drop a gold scanner, drop a gold scanner, drop a gold scanner, drop a gold scanner.
I've been dreaming of something like this.
I have been dreaming of a white Christmas though. Yeah, didn't have any snow this year, I think, or last year, or maybe one day. I'm not sure anymore. It's sad. It's a sad, sad life.
Prepare to fight for
Yep.
your life. The big swarm is approaching.
Miss me with that shit.
Too much crap in the way. Supplies can't land. Clear it out, Miner.
I'm gonna be the best survivor.
At least we still got some of this. The other snail's right here too. Don't mind if I do. Isn't she supposed to be fucking slow?
Hi. We got it. Huzzah!
Ah, fuck.
Yeah. Need it.
Okay, no extra gold scanner, that sucks.
You ugly.
And that's why the snails on the stage are not that important.
Stand clear. Supplies
It's all
are
about the
inbound.
first 4.
Nice shot. It's a little extra special.
All about the first 4 bitches.
The scanner just lit up like a Christmas tree. We got a swarm incoming.
We're missing the potency on that. or the triple potency actually from the triple explosion.
I'm having an epic vision.
It's not so good. That is not so good.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, I guess we're missing out on a lot of gold by getting that late. Nope, nope, nope.
Epic upgrade.
It wishes.
That's a no-brainer.
It wishes. Boss time already? Shit. Another flying fuck.
This makes my whole life better. This one almost makes it huge. Oh, that hit the spot. Think you can kill me? Well, think again. Sure, why not? Oh yeah.
Objective
This
completed.
is gonna help me be a perfect dwarf. This is gonna change everything.
Yo, this fucker's taking some damage. Go suck a dick, Bush. No! Not mine! That would be funny.
Feels rare. Feels right. Cowabunga! I rarely pick one of these.
My scanner is overloading. Move on.
That was bad placement.
Sorry.
That was really nice. Roller bitch almost dead.
Give me that.
I push that hard now. This is that song again. Nice.
Speed it up, miner. The bugs grow stronger.
Bloody hell, you're hot to kill.
Fucking love this song.
This makes my whole life better. I'm clocking it to 11. You shouldn't need precious minerals.
The 75% potency must be crazy.
Time's running out, miner. The bugs are getting worse.
Boom, baby!
Can I?
Nice.
Can I fuck yeah? I can fuck yeah. That's great. Didn't fuck yeah in a long time.
Gotta move it, miner. The bugs are gunning for you.
Ouch. Not so good. Oh bro, sorry I wasn't there. I went to eat sushi. Yo, do not apologize. How dare you? How dare you? You have no obligation to be here. If you have nothing else to do,
All tasks complete.
nothing else to do,
The drop pod is
then
prepped and
obviously,
ready.
right?
Get on it
But
before it leaves.
sushi? That sounds like some date, right? How those flowers going? I don't know. It looks pretty good, right? I gave them some lots of water earlier. Actually, the small ones are coming out too. You see that? Wait. You see that little green thing? That should be one of the flowers. Not the flowers of the plants coming out of the outer flowers. Looking forward to those. Gotta turn on the lights. Actually, gotta turn on the lights soon.
Nice. I'll take it.
No, actually, I'm gonna wait a little bit longer. I might just put them out on the balcony soon.
Feeling much better now. This makes
Don't
my whole
have
life
gold.
better.
Nothing. My parents always taught me to apologize.
We'll head out momentarily.
Yeah, but only if you did something wrong, right? You didn't do anything wrong.
Stage 2 completed. Taking you closer to your target.
Definitely didn't do anything wrong, bro. Definitely not. If you are,
Feels rare. Feels
if you did
right.
something wrong, if you hurt somebody's feelings,
Try
then
again.
definitely. But I'm a guy. I don't have
I'm
feelings,
feeling lucky.
except for hunger,
Give me
horny. I'm feeling bad. Oh, okay.
Get to work.
You don't need to.
Aliens to be killed.
Well, the next time you really don't need to. I'm here anyways, right? I'm almost always here. I ate too much. Oh. But that means it was good, right? I never had sushi in my life. I had vegan sushi, like sushi without fish in there, but I don't think that's still sushi. I put carrots in there, and what else? I don't remember. Paprika. Yeah.
Feels rare. Feels right.
Okay, I should not run around actually.
Swarm's heading your way. Load up.
Should not be running around. I'll be back in a moment. Okay. Gotta take a shit. I was so crazy the other day. I swear to God, like we played headliners, and we were waiting for others, for somebody else to do something. And he's AFK for like 5 minutes. Comes back, he's like, "Sorry, I had to poop." I'm like, how the fuck do you just do that while playing a multiplayer game? I would feel so bad. I would feel so bad for doing that. It doesn't take that long. No, gold scanner, please.
I rarely pick one of these.
Big swarm detected. Buggerman, get ready.
Hydra!
What you say?
Oh yeah.
Exemplary work. You've achieved your objective in record time.
I do need to get things though. We've gotten no XP gain, did we? Maybe so. I think we're fucked already.
This will help me work harder.
Fucked already, we rolled too much. Also slurring all the words that I know.
We got a swarm incoming.
This one makes me want to be a better dwarf.
Should I just reset this? Five items on 3 doesn't sound too bad actually. Luck could be higher.
Let's show them some fight.
What's the other one?
Just what I needed.
I only show one fuck right now. There he is. Hello.
Go. Jukebox open. You ugly son of a
Okay.
bitch.
The mining is nice though, even though we don't have to split it up. It's crazy. Crazy radius. Right. Just kill me with that. Just kill me with those fucking rollers.
The bugs are getting worse. Move it.
Or give me double heals.
Much better.
And it's gone again. That's why I love healing. When I get that feeling, I hate fucking healing.
I can't get enough of this rare stuff.
There are too many to count. Get it done, Miner.
I wonder if I can squeeze them longer somehow. So maybe this getting us. You definitely know if it's the snail sleep though. I mean, it started okay. It started really okay. Right, we got 2 XP scanners and the XP board. Wait, that's actually a real good start, right? Just getting no XP gain anymore, so all that beautiful, beautiful XP that is dropping doesn't help us. Oh man, I fucking hate not getting XP gain. That cost me like 50% off my gold. Just gone. Gone. Rippity Ronin.
Speed it up, Miner. The bugs grow stronger.
Bugs go stronger wheat than me. That's crazy.
The time is up.
Threat level increasing.
Might as well walk through him if he's frozen. Frozen yogurt.
Oh yeah, now
Oh, that's nice. Speaking of, I should get some yogurt actually. That's
Move
just
out, Miner.
amazing.
Get it over with.
I'm always running away just straight ahead of them, but they're faster than I am. Like, it doesn't even help. It looks funny
Get it
though.
wrapped up, Miner. The longer you stay, the harder it gets.
Harder it gets. It's gotten really harder.
hell, have a bullet in the fight.
That's good lordy.
Happy you can't see my scanner. But I advise that you move, Miner.
I'm a better dwarf.
More
than
potency.
yesterday.
Actually, I should go for more reload speed.
The threat level just went up.
Come and get me, you disgusting.
Well done. Objective completed. Drop pod has arrived. Get there now. It will leave without you.
But it had to get me. The Magna now will be really nice.
The drop pod
Actually,
is
from
about
reload
to
speed.
leave. Get your ass moving,
Like double
Miner.
reload. Okay, barely any gold left.
Stage 3 done and dusted, Miner. We'll have a good meal ready for
Done
you when
and
you
dusted,
return.
dirty deeds done there. I don't know. Nope, no, no, no. This is all a no, no, no. Like that.
Pricey, but beats dive.
I wish those were medium too.
Let me try again. It's a little kind of roll the dice on this one. Next,
Great.
have it.
Oh, I should have gone for the reload
That's
speed.
work to be done. Up and at 'em, Miner.
And I've been at him too. It's good to be at him.
No, I'm never getting used to this smell.
Alright, no move challenge. Actually, no.
Yeah.
Robot in schedule 1, there's Street. Why do you say that? Why do you say but? Like, what do you actually mean?
Red sugar.
That comes like out of nowhere. What you trying to tell me?
Swarm detected. Get ready. They'll be with you shortly.
I'm not a street vendor. I'm not selling drugs. I'm growing drugs. Legally. Actually, it's not drugs anymore. It got declassified. In German, it's not considered a drug anymore.
Bug hot.
Which is kind of nice. Load.
Swarm is heading your way. Load up.
Yes.
And what level is Iodine unlocked? I don't know, man. I thought everything is always unlocked. All the mixes. Can you just go to the gas station and buy everything?
We got too much clutter.
Did you already move? Do you still have the RV? I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's find out. Schedule 1. Unlocked. Mix. Unlock items. Let's see. Iodine. Hustler 1. Yeah, it's Hustler 1. You get it at Hustler 1. I didn't even know that it's like blocked or something.
Prepare to fight for your life. Big
I
swarm
thought you
is
could always get it like just from the start. Damn. I forgot. Shit.
I rarely go for this one.
It's nothing. We got 2 Hoodlum. What else should I do?
Good work. Supply pod inbound.
I don't know, man. I don't know this game by heart. From Hoodlum, it's 5 levels. You gotta get through all the peddler. Gotta get through all the peddlers,
This is the smart pick.
and then you're done. Then you're in Hustler. Then you're in Hustler's University. Can you buy the game now? I'm sorry, but it doesn't let me unlock the warehouse. Because you have to get there first. Can you buy other stuff yet? Do you have the money for it?
Now this is a rare treat. Feel much better now.
Can you buy properties yet? Got to the 5 levels, yeah. Gotta sling some dope, bro. Did you buy the game? Or is that still on handy? Is it still on your phone? I keep saying handy to phones.
Exemplary work. You've achieved your objective in a record time.
Thank you, no problem. No problemo.
I can't get enough of this rare stuff.
Okay, nice. Took you a while. Took you a while to buy it.
They're everywhere.
That's nice. Give me some heals.
Bring the fire.
Alert. Threat level increasing.
Damn, that's some blue shit going on. But I also have this on mobile. The games are fake, but the game's identical. Schedule 1. I have no idea about that. That might not be allowed to do. Yeah, it looks exactly the same. It's just a rip-off so they make money from the ads. It's just a rip-off. Don't play the handy game. Don't play the mobile game.
Miner. The longer you stay, the harder it gets.
Super station is set up 0.11110 I'm retarded. I can't even speak anymore.
Guess what's on the menu? More bounty. And they're pissed.
Yes, but in fact, I play it when I don't have a free PC. Gotta get a free PC then. Gotta get a free PC, bro. Just restart the router and the PC's gonna be free really fast. Trust me.
Precious mineral. It will get you killed.
It's gonna be free really fast.
Time's running out, miner. The bugs are getting worse.
I remember back in the days, in the 90s, early 2000s.
I'll take this
You know, my sister was talking so much on the phone with her friends, and every time she was on the phone, nobody could go into the internet, right?
The bugs are going insane. Move.
That was super annoying. So every time the phone rang, I just instantly was like on the phone, and I'm like, hello? So I was like, yo, is your sister there? And I'm like, no, she's not here. You can't talk to her now, sorry.
They're going blood crazed. Work fast, miner.
I have to go tomorrow night. We have to go? You have to go until tomorrow night?
It's wrapped up soon. It's
Alright,
over,
go,
miner.
go. Do your thing, man. And play some schedule. Get those levels. It's important. Muy importante.
Be happy you can't
Wait,
see
that's
my
French.
scanner. But I advise that you move, miner.
That's French.
Soon it's all over, miner.
15%. Thank you. Yes. I have to go see her. Alright, man.
Guess what's on the
Have a good
menu?
night. Have a good rest day.
And they're pissed.
Fucking nose is so itchy. I swear to God. I wish there was boogers in there so I can take them out and then it's done, but no.
They're getting worse.
No, it's just itching for no reason. Shit. Big miss.
Red level increasing.
Big fucking miss. That fucker's fast.
They're everywhere. Move out, miner. Get it over with. For crap's sake, move it. They're everywhere. The bugs are growing stronger.
Please be frozen. Good job.
The bugs aren't appreciating your
That's got an
presence,
XP
miner.
boost.
Get the lead out.
That's got a little XP boost.
Get it done, miner. The bugs are furious.
The bugs are furious. Everything is so fucking fast.
They're getting worse, miner. You need to move.
Fuck! Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, that was no making it through that. There was no making it through that. That was a good fucking run though. That was a real good fucking run. That's sad. That is sad. So, if I wanted to watch that thing now, how would I do that? I'm gonna grab tab. Pull this down here. I'm gonna go. I have to tell myself so many things. Okay. This is just chatting. Yay. Best category actually. Yes, I will ace poker face. I will. Okay. Learning about every Fallout vault. I have no idea what to expect. So already here. I'm gonna go up here. That's good. We're gonna go have this. Everything leaked. Everything's leaked. Wait. We do this.
Woo! I got a DUI, baby.
Okay. Should turn them off maybe. Should maybe turn them off for now because it's gonna be annoying if it's in the video all the time. Oh, and the snails go away and The overlay's supposed to be up there too, but it's not. For some reason it's not. Oh well. Okay. Every Fallout vault explained. Gotta tune this up.
Fallout is one of the most recognizable game and now television series of all time. Home to giant roaches, ghouls with
I've
hats,
only seen
and
that
this
fucking show.
adorable good boy.
At 1080p.
But if we're being honest, none of us are here for that.
Yes.
Because we're here for the vaults. Home to some of the most twisted, insane, and mind-blowing human experimentation and torture ever
There should be
imagined.
crazy shit in there, right?
And also, the most fascinating part about this world, without question. 122 individual containment facilities, all constructed by a mega corporation, monetizing human death and suffering, all for their own gain. So today, I'm going to break down every single
seems
one
expected.
we know about, whether that be from games, television,
That seems
novels,
expected.
or even comic books. Starting with the most chilled and relaxed vaults, and slowly making our way into the
there's
single
chilled
most
ones.
horrifying and
know
mind-melting
that.
scenarios imaginable. Because as any Fallout veteran knows, war never changes.
I guess it doesn't.
You know,
Where's my
if
fucking
there was
food
one
switch?
vault I had to live in the entire Fallout universe, it might just have to be Vault 84. Because while later in the video we will be taking a look at some truly horrific things,
Which one was
first
from
we
the
have to
series?
start with the most relaxed. And what better way to do this than the little-known vault that's seldom talked about?
Also-
Originally introduced in the Fallout board game, this technically now
There's no vault where nothing. No. There's no Fallout game where you don't go out, right? There's no just in vault game, right?
Canon Vault was
I
home
love
to
that,
one of
actually.
the most tame experiments in the Wasteland.
I fucking
Every
love
year,
that.
a vote was held to exile the most dangerous inhabitant from the bunker, meaning the Vault dwellers were constantly on their best behavior year-round in fear of receiving the vote. And for anyone that did show signs of disorderly conduct, they would be swiftly removed forever. So
Uh-oh.
because of the simple rule and low amount of people being affected at once, this system managed to keep the Vault almost perfectly safe over decades. It inspired many families to join community events, to help others, or to give money and things away in order to inspire favor and love from everyone else. And being single or lonely not only meant you were out friends, but out a potential spot in this lovely vault as well, with you being seen as an outsider. So everyone in the vault had a huge incentive to talk and help others.
That
And this
sucks.
actually resulted in what might be the safest and least tragic vault in the history of the series. Because even though it's no longer canon, it still gives us such an interesting psychological look into human beings and potential what-if scenarios.
Who's he
And isn't
fighting
that
there,
what's
though?
most fun about
If it's so
vaults and
safe.
Fallout anyways? Simply hearing about the fun ideas or experiments that could take place, and wondering where and how things would really play
Good
out.
job.
For me, the most interesting part about vaults, and by extension the most interesting part about Fallout, is the individual and social implications of
higher.
each experiment, and really just seeing what would happen. So I'll make that the main focus throughout this entire video. And also for anyone wondering, that's why I'll also be including non-canon vaults on this list as well, because even the imagination of it all can be so fascinating, and it gives us some ideas into what future vaults and new games or shows might look like. However, keep in mind I will point out each vault and whether or not it's canon, so you guys can keep track too. Regardless though, even up to modern times in Fallout, this vault is still
being played
operating
on
in
console.
pristine fashion. Through the simple process of slowly pruning out bad apples, this society is potentially one of
That
the
looks like
best
being
in the
played with control, and I
entirety
hate
of
it.
America. In fact, the only especially tragic episode in the entire vault's history actually has to do with a nearby Vault 109, which was an extremely high-class and expensive area for affluent individuals, even better than 84 by all accounts. Inside was countless high-class materials and products like Mary May, Ticknoran Fields, or Fallon's, all recognizable brands from the pre-war days that signified wealth and status. However, Vault 109
good
eventually
gamble.
suffered a catastrophic
We learned about
failure due to
Fallout.
an unknown source which caused a radiation leak, resulting in everyone inside perishing or becoming flesh-hungry ghouls. And this event marked
Damn.
the end of trade between the two facilities. Yet despite this, Vault 84 has continued to live strong and flourish, which is especially astounding considering this is maybe one of the only non-control vaults
We don't
in
have
the
any
entire
goods from
series
Chernobyl or anything
can
like that,
claim
right?
so.
Or
It's
Hiroshima.
always been so curious to me why the overseers of every vault in Fallout never really rebelled. After all,
weird.
having to lead and subject many of your fellow human beings to sick and twisted torture for years on end takes a special kind of evil. But that true sense of evil is exactly what Vault-Tec was looking for in their containment facilities, meaning most overseers were handpicked before the Great War began and bombs dropped, and that's why it usually worked out. In fact, in many vaults, subsequent overseers were also handpicked with rigged elections or voting to ensure the experiments could keep going. But in the case of Vault 81, we actually got a look into what could happen when an overseer did in fact stand up for what's right. Originally, the vault was instructed to run experiments on human beings with all sorts of diseases and infections, all in an attempt to make a universal cure that could fix any ailment. And the layout was structured in—
Wait, does it mean they herded people together that were sick? Like really, really sick, badly sick, like really bad fucking diseases? Is that what they did? That's cool. That can't go wrong, right? I mean, how could that go wrong? What could go wrong there?
two parts. A main area that simply was a normal and well-kept vault for all the residents to live in, and a secret sectioned off area as well, where a team of scientists would live and perform experimentation non-stop, pulling people from the main section of the vault to use as guinea pigs. However, when Dr. Olivet, the designated overseer of this vault, learned of this heinous twist in how the experiment would be run, she immediately thought of becoming a whistleblower to reveal the plan. Sadly though, she soon became aware of the fact that many in the United States government were actually helping out Vault-Tec, and any sort of attempt to stop them would be futile. So instead, she hatched a plan that would actually take over after the vault fully became operational. On the morning of
Smart.
the Great War, when she received the call to start the notification of staff and residents to enter the vault, she only
started the
sent
war,
the
actually?
signal to the residents and completely left out all the scientists on the message. But despite the plan starting perfectly, 3 of the scientists on the staff unit did manage to make it to the vault in time before it was sealed, and quickly made their way to the secret compartment of the vault. Realizing she had no other options, the overseer simply had to play along with what the scientists were doing
Or
with
kill
their
them.
initial testing on animal subjects like mole rats, but as soon as they were nearing the start of human trials, she quickly locked the secret compartment of the vault and sealed them away. This meant that the scientists would now be trapped for the rest of their lives, but still with enough food and water to survive, meaning research would continue. In fact, Overseer Olivet even modified—
Yo, but like trapped but with enough food. Like it's one thing to say you're trapped for the rest of your life. Yeah, you could die tomorrow, right? Then they say enough food. Do they have like their own complete everything? Like they're gonna have supplies there?
a robotic assistant, Miss Nancy,
guess.
in the vault at one point to help with the lab research.
Not too bad then.
Feeling bad for those trapped inside, and still curious about the potential for a cure to every illness, what she originally came to the vault to do. Named Curie, this generic utility robot with female voice programming, originally
Curie.
created for
Like
a massive
Marie
company
Curie.
called General Atomics International before the war, actually continued on the research the scientists had been doing even after their deaths. And this turned out to be a huge win, as decades later, Curie was able to achieve her prime directive and create a universal cure for humanity. So she sent a message to the main vault of her findings and patiently idled for decades, awaiting a response from the security
cure for what?
that never came. Tragically though, by the time the vault door was eventually opened decades
Fallout
later,
2 with
it
the
was still
magicians
kept a secret
experience
from
was
almost
nuts.
everyone inside. In Fallout 4, when
Wow,
you
we see
find
about
this
that
vault,
soon.
it's still operational, and you discover a young boy named
this is
Austin
Fallout 4?
Engel, who has
That looks
recently
like
witnessed
shit.
another vault dweller sneak into the secret containment facility
man.
that's been barred off. However, tragically, when Austin goes in after him, he gets bit by a mole rat
I swear to God, I can't wait for the new generation of devs that are coming to make a good Fallout. I really can't wait.
which had previously been
I can't wait.
experimented on by the scientists when the vault first
76
opened,
sucked,
giving
right?
Austin a completely unknown and incurable disease. If you as a sole survivor sneak your way into the secret portion of this vault and find Curie, she will hand you the last remaining non-expired vial of the universal cure. And you can decide to either use this on yourself, assuming you've also been bit, or save the young child Austin Engel. It's one of the most harrowing choices in the series, but still, on this list, the vault sits so
She's
high
kinda hot.
because it's a stark
She's
reminder
kinda
that
hot.
even one heroic person
Her
can
name's
save
Tina?
so many
Okay, I will
lives.
definitely not
And for this
remember that
vault's
for
entire
reasons.
lineage, almost all of the dwellers have lived on to lead happy lives, unaware of the dark experiment the vault was founded on. Overall, an upbeat story for a vault that could have been so much worse. And trust me, as we keep making our way down this list, they will be. For those
It's
of you
weird,
that
there's so
don't know
many
what
different ones.
control vaults are in Fallout, they essentially act as a way to validate the otherwise sick and twisted
Wait, that's Fallout
experiments
2?
going on in the other vaults. Rather than killing people for sport or running wild experiments,
Fallout
the
2?
control vaults are simply a normal place
thought it was
meant
like
to
Fallout
maintain a
4.
stable society for potentially hundreds of years.
That's Command
And
&
this
Conquer,
results
right?
in these vaults serving as a way to validate the outcomes of experimentation elsewhere, just like a control in any scientific
Sup, bro? Not much,
experiment.
yo.
After all, as we know, the main purpose of most of the vaults originally was to run horrific social or scientific tests on unwitting and innocent subjects in order for Vault Tech to gain scientific research and learnings that could aid them in creating a new and prosperous world post the bombs falling hundreds of years later. And maybe one of the best examples of a control vault actually doing
But
its
shouldn't
job
they-
is Vault 8 from Fallout 2. Set to open around
Aren't there,
10
like, any
years
vaults for,
after
like,
the
the
bombs
rich
fell,
people?
in 2091,
For, like, the
the
elite?
overseer of the vault gave the orders to open the main vault door and release over 200 inhabitants to help rebuild the world. With the aid of their GECK, or Garden of Eden Creation Kit, a massive terraforming device built from cold fusion that allows vault dwellers to more easily harness the post-nuclear wasteland for themselves, they were able to found Vault City as one of the main areas we get to run around in and explore in the second game. It's one of the best examples of a vault experiment and goal not going horribly wrong, and while Vault City is by no means a perfect paradise, by the time we find it in-game in 2241, it's a massive and sprawling city unlike many other places in the
Yeah, how are
wasteland,
those
with
vaults actually
cutting-edge
powered?
technology and medicine
Must be
to
nuclear
boot.
technology,
Sadly though, hundreds of years
energy,
later,
right?
it was also home to rampant slavery and a form of a caste
Taking care
system
of
as
that.
well, along with concerning radiation leaks everywhere. And it's a stark reminder of why vault dwellers are often considered the most cowardly people in the wasteland, because after coming to the surface, things tend to become more feral and difficult to manage. For many control
no
vaults,
shit.
simply hiding inside forever, like Vault 84, might actually be the ideal.
Yeah,
Nowadays though, Vault 8
definitely.
is simply used as a storage facility and
I would
medical
do that for
bay for
sure.
Vault City, a far cry from its heyday before. Vault 13 is one of the most recognizable in the series, and that's because it's actually where you start out your journey in Fallout 1, and by proxy, Fallout 2 as well. And that's because the second game is actually the only mainline entry that doesn't begin in a
Vault
vault,
34 is where I
instead
fear
picking
red
up right
zones.
from where you left off in the first game. The vault itself is nothing more than a standard control facility meant to
there
open
anything
up
cool
when the
that's
Enclave
rated,
calls
though?
for it. But in the first game, when you start,
Coolest
the
I've
vault is
seen
suffering
in
from a
Fallout
massive
4 is
water chip failure,
this
and
Titan
multiple
claws?
different people inside have been sent out into the
Razor claws?
wasteland
I'm
in
not
search
sure.
of a fix. When you come
look
into the
kinda
picture
cool.
though, things have gotten a lot more dire. And now with the facility's water chip having completely failed, the vault only has 150 days left before everyone inside dies. You, as someone called
How about the Souls-like horror Fallout?
the Vault Dweller, are sent on a mission as the Vault's last hope to go and find a fix. And eventually, you find extra water
like
chips
that.
in Vault 12 under Necropolis, a massive ghoul city.
I'd like
But
that.
when you
I
come
also
back
played
and tell
Doom
the
Souls,
overseer
like,
of your
no
deeds,
guns.
he sends you on one more mission to find out the cause of all of the
What the fuck is that?
super mutants you've seen
Who
in
the
the
fuck is
wasteland,
Neander
and this
McTaw?
leads you down the path to finding someone called the Master. And for
Who
those of
the
you that
fuck?
don't know, the Master was actually a main antagonist from the original Fallout games, who is a massive computer-human monster hybrid that speaks in hundreds of voices of those he has enveloped and wishes to create an army of hyper-intelligent and strong super mutants to take over the world and bring prosperity. He
Okay,
sends
how
his
about no?
goons into nearby vaults in order to get fresh and non-tainted humans, which he can dose with high amounts of FEV, or the Forced Evolutionary Virus,
Oh.
hoping to make the most capable super mutant.
Yo, Forced Evolution Virus. I read about that shit in another book, though.
possible. FEV in
wanna
Fallout is
see that
actually
shit
an
in
artificial
action.
virus that was created at one of West Tech's top research
How interesting would it be if we could, like, in real time watch something evolve? Fucking amazing would that be? Though, what is actually evolve, right? It's more mutating. Like, real evolution is just like spreading out like 5 million mice, and see which one survives the best in whatever environment. And then they keep breeding. That's evolution.
visions
Fast,
before the
forced
Great
evolution is
War,
not evolution,
and
that's
actually
just
works by
mutation.
changing the genotype and phenotype in human
Yeah,
beings,
yeah.
quite literally modifying what we can become, and in this case, creating massive hulking super mutant brutes. The reason Vault Dwellers are so good for this is because their DNA has not been tainted by the radioactive wasteland
This guy's
above,
definitely
meaning it
forced
can more
evolved.
easily be manipulated at a cellular level to force mutations without issue. And on top of this, there are actually many strains of the virus as well, which is why super mutants on the East Coast, like in Fallout 3, are so much more intellectually inferior to their brothers on the West Coast, who are subject to more advanced strains of FEV. Nonetheless, you eventually take down this monstrosity known as the Master in his command center, the Cathedral, and return back to your vault to let them know of the good news. Sadly though, when you arrive,
Your
the
vault is
Overseer
gone.
refuses to let you in,
Oh,
noting
no.
that he is now scared that people inside will see your heroics and want to go into the wasteland themselves, so he turns you away, forcing you to go back into the wasteland on your
What
own,
an asshole.
and kicking off the start of Fallout 2. Overall, even though Vault 13 is so vital to the Fallout series as a whole, being literally where it all began, in the grand scheme of things, it isn't actually that bad of a place to live
those suits.
at all. Outside of the water shortage crisis, most people inside lived happy and decent lives, and compared to other vaults we will see later on this list, this is without a doubt one of the best you could have lived in after the bombs fell. Vault 76 is now one of the most iconic numbers in the entirety of the franchise, but not for good reason. And that's because
Let's
this
see.
vault is actually where you begin your journey in Fallout 76,
And
the
everybody
first
hates that one.
multiplayer Fallout game, and also, for a lot of people, the worst. On its initial release, this game was riddled with bugs and issues, and for most people was not only
It's also, like,
completely
so much pay to
unplayable,
win, right?
but also lost so much of what made Fallout great in the first place. Nowadays though, after multiple large patches and years of work, the game is actually pretty
Still
good,
shit.
albeit
is it?
different. But nonetheless, the vault itself was one of 17 designated control vaults for Vault-Tech and was home to
Big
some
fucking
of
lazy net.
America's best and brightest, including top students from Vault-Tech University and the former White House Chief of Staff.
Wrong button,
What
sorry.
made this structure especially interesting, though, is that it actually is, as far as we know up to this point, one of the earliest vaults to actually open its doors, and in terms of games and the shows, it's by far the earliest point in the timeline
76
that
in the
we
show
get to
too?
see. Because after only 20 years post the bombs falling and the start of the Great War, the Happy Day of Reclamation, as it was called, began, and the doors swung open, ready for the inhabitants to reclaim
Is there any Fallout game that's about when the war starts?
the world and
I
make
kinda
it
wanna
better.
play that
and
too.
maybe the most ironic part of
I think like the most exciting part about apocalypse is always like when it happens, right? Everything is always like after the apocalypse. Ooh, 10 years later, 20 years later, 100 years later. I want to see like 5 minutes later. 5 minutes later. That's where I want to survive.
it all is that compared to every other Fallout game, 76
Let's be real. Nobody else having like the fantasy, or not the fantasy, but like the scenario they have that Russia is gonna drop some bombs soon. Like maybe we're not that far away from seeing nukes being used again. I don't know. I don't know, and I don't want to find out about it in real life. I kind of want to like test it out in a game first.
looks the least destroyed and most lush of them all. But that's probably in large part due to it being set in the forested Appalachia region of West Virginia, as opposed to a major metropolitan area, which would have been a major focus of nuclear targeting.
That shit all looks so
systems.
old.
But seriously, look at Fallout 3, which takes place 200 years after the bombs fell, and
Oh,
it still
boy.
looks like they literally just dropped yesterday. Compared to 76,
It looks like the bombs dropped in the 80s though, in the 1880s. Are those houses from when? Who's building houses like that?
where you were playing about 25 years after the fallout and it looks pristine.
20 years
it's
ago.
kind of funny. Part of
Nobody,
the
right?
reason, though, is that radiation doesn't actually affect fauna, meaning the
Women?
overgrown landscape
There's women in Fallout 3? Or was it 76? What are we talking about right now? It was woke back then. No wonder it died.
in a non-heavily targeted area
Kidding.
like this would potentially actually make a lot of sense, like we also see around the Chernobyl nuclear zone.
I want to see a
in our
new
real
fucking
lives.
Fallout. I'm gonna
Regardless,
play
though,
it.
Vault 76 is still without a doubt one of the most happy and tame stories in the entire series, with so many facilities in the actual vault itself for having fun.
I don't
eating
wanna have
great
a dog,
meals,
though.
and just
Fuck
enjoying
companions.
others and their company. Or in other words, a great vault full of amenities and nice people alike that then gets set loose in one of the best and most beautiful places still left on Earth. Vault 111 is another very iconic location in the series because it serves as a starting vault in Fallout 4. Right before the Great War,
Yeah,
you
how
as a
long
player
is-
character find yourself living in the nearby town called Sanctuary Hills. And on the day that the bombs start dropping, you rush
Fallout 4 has
yourself and
been
your family over to the vault and hurry your way
2015?
inside right as a nuclear
Fallout 4 has been
detonates
10 years
nearby and
ago?
almost kills all of you. Inside the vault, an experiment was being conducted on cryogenic pods and stasis to hopefully lend some important research into this key area for humanity's future. But when you first arrive, you were told that these pods are actually for decontamination, after which you and your family, along with other vault dwellers, are locked inside and trapped.
Yo. While a new mainline Fallout game, likely titled Fallout 5, is in the works, Bethesda has stated that The Elder Scrolls 6 will be released before it. That means a Fallout 5 release date is unlikely before around 2030. What the fuck?
As you pass
15
out
years later?
inside.
Are you
Per
kidding
the
me?
initial vault's operating procedures, the doors were to remain shut to the vault for
Oh,
at
shit, I'm
least
getting super
180
hungry.
days. But after this time had elapsed, no signal was given from the outside for staff to leave, and now with a low amount of food and water, they all started demanding the Overseer open the door to let them out to scavenge. Refusing to do so, though, the Overseer caused a full-on uprising from security and support.
That's also one thing what I want to do. I want to scavenge. I mean, I don't want to raid. I don't want to steal from people, but like completely abandoned fucking cities, villages, houses. Go in there, see what's left. I don't know. It seems so interesting to me for some reason. I don't know why. No idea why. I don't want to see any dead people in there or anything. I just want, I don't know. I don't know.
Support staff that took over and tried to unseal the door.
Maybe,
in
I don't know,
retaliation,
find
the
some gold.
Overseer then put the vault on full lockdown and demanded all food, weapons, and medicine be handed over, after which no full logs of the events of what happened next.
Wait, I forgot. The vaults actually were like all about cryostasis and all that shit, right? They were put to sleep for a few years before everything started up. I always thought like it was, okay, nuclear war starts, everybody to the vault, and we start surviving in here. Makes way more sense to stay in
Even
cryo
or
though.
no. But the vault's history does pick up 150 years later, when a nearby founded high-tech society called the Institute sends some of their men to retrieve the player character's baby from inside the cryopod, as it will serve as a perfectly pure, non-radiated human being to base their Generation 3 synthetic machine-human hybrids on. When these agents come into the vault and wake you up, though, your spouse does not hand over the baby, and is shot as you watch helplessly in your cryopod nearby, after which they take your baby son and turn on your pod again, forcing you to sleep. You then awake 50 years later, now with the vault completely empty and over
Okay, fucking
200
then.
years after the Great War, on a journey to go find your son.
Fuck
Overall,
that.
while Vault
Fuck that. I'm gonna find some 50-year-old man. Sure. Sure.
111 itself isn't the
That bitch has been fucking brainwashed for like 50 years. Do you think that's gonna be good? Oh god. I want to play a game where I don't have to do the main quest that the devs think is so interesting and important. I want to play completely free. I want to have an AI govern what I do and give me new quests depending on
thematically
what
the most
happens. I
interesting
know
or
that's asking for a
horrifying
lot, but
by any
fuck it.
means, the story behind it and what
Fuck
it
it, I
leads
really want
to
that.
definitely are, and serves as a very interesting start to one of the games that really leaves a mark. If you were to ask most people what the best beginning to a Fallout game is, or even just one of the best beginnings to a game period, they would without question say Vault 101 from Fallout 3. And also, for any of you who are curious, the actual answer to that question is Prey, but Fallout 3 has a cool start too. Regardless though, the experiment in Vault 101 was a simple one. It was never to be open. The Overseer in this vault was instructed that the door should always remain shut no matter what. And unlike many other vaults, there was never an intention here to repopulate the wasteland. The only goal was to see what would happen to a society that never saw true sunlight again. But to do this, the Overseer at any given time would have to create mass hysteria about what the outside world was like. Children and adults were taught that the world had been flung into complete chaos, and simply stepping outside would result in instant death. And extreme measures like a police state
instant death sounds great.
Of the outside world
I mean, not great,
made
but
to sell the reason why no
they
one
followed Shelter.
However, as time went on, some overseers did start to secretly send scouting parties to the outside to get information, and this resulted in the people inside the vault even having discussions with people in nearby towns like Megaton. These occasional exits from the vault resulted in creatures like rad roaches making their way inside, and this eventually led to a full-on infestation crisis occurring, during which your father escapes from the vault, leaving you behind, after which the Overseer's daughter comes to you and tells you you need to get out there before they kill you looking for answers. So you narrowly escape this now chaotic vault and make your way to the outside, met with one of the most haunting yet strangely beautiful moments in the Fallout series history. Now on a journey to go find your lost father and discover a world that for your whole life you were told was completely devoid of happiness. But the more and more you search around the wastelands of DC, you start to realize that maybe being kept in your nice little vault with safety and food wouldn't have been such a bad thing.
But why are all the trees still burnt and fucked?
Shouldn't
nature regenerate at some point?
Vault 15 is another location we get to explore and find out about in the first two games. Inside its walls was an experiment meant to take place over 50 years that would force a large group of people with radically different ideologies all to live together just to see what would happen. Whereas most other vaults tended to be homogenous with very similar groups of people, 15 flew in the face of all of this. And because of this, quickly after the bombs fell and the vault inhabitants made their way to this facility to get locked away, many tribes and groups started to assemble. This resulted in lots of infighting and turmoil between the people in the vault. And after overcrowding started to become a major issue, a large portion of the vault residents decided to actually leave, taking the Gek with them in the process.
I would have not played this game.
This sucks.
The
initial founding members of Shady Sands, the same destroyed city we see in the TV show, and Metropolis from the games, which in turn fostered the eventual founding of the New California Republic, or NCR, one of the most notable government-like entities that has actually succeeded since the bombs fell.
That thing is so close to you. How are you still alive?
On the other hand, formed raider or bandit tribes that would kill and steal for survival. And an even smaller group decided to stay in the vault even after it had been stripped of resources, assuming it
I like Metro. Metro is a nice game about radiation.
Though, is just how crucial this vault and its initial people have become to the wasteland, being the initial home and birthplace for so many factions and ideologies that even decades later would define the wasteland we know in Fallout. And it goes to show that even extremely diverse groups of people assembled together, while cause for initial concern and violence, can cascade into truly great things in the long term because of being forced to see so many sides. I've always been a sucker for building and crafting in games I really enjoy, and for that reason, I'm actually a big fan of Vault 88 from Fallout 4. You see, added in a DLC, this vault serves as more of a construction playground for the player rather than a normal vault. In lore, this facility built just below the Quincy Quarries in Boston served as a test site for various prototype devices that were targeted for distribution to other vaults. Vault 88 itself was never actually finished though, with instead only the entrance and security and reactor rooms being completed and furnished.
Is that a ghoul?
Inside though, you will find a massive open cave room and network of nearby zones, all of which are completely open to the player character to design in whatever way they see fit.
Show a face again, that was definitely...
you to live out your biggest fantasies of making your own vault just the way you like. And while this means this vault is without question one of the least scary and unassuming places in the entire Fallout ensemble, it also might just be the one that you spend the most time in, depending on the type of player you are. Because I
Some
know for
ghouls still are
myself,
somewhat
I
human.
thoroughly
Oh, for
enjoyed
real?
my time in Vault 88, making my own little
I mean, I know
vault,
from
so
the other
home.
one. Oh yeah,
And
that's
finally,
right.
to end off this first tier of Fallout Vaults,
That's
the
right,
least
from the
horrible
show.
and
I watched
also
the show.
nicest, I wanted to quickly go over 12 of the
Yeah, the ghoul in the
lesser-known
show,
or
right?
unknown
The ghoul in the show that the ghoul in the show is the guy from the beginning, from the beginning, right? That does the pose, and then his daughter dies.
vaults, many of which are non-canon,
I
but
was wondering
still
about
all
that.
have interesting or strange experiments to go over before diving into the truly insane stuff. Because
First I
with
thought he's
most
a
of
villain,
these,
but he's
we have
not
almost
really.
no information on them besides the small experiments
It's just
that
really
took
hard
place,
to-
so most of this will be
to be
pure
pro anybody.
speculation. In Vault
Everybody's
55,
so
nothing
weird.
was out of the ordinary, except for the fact that absolutely no entertainment tapes were provided. In most other vaults, a
Yeah, new
large selection of
Fall
movies,
game.
shows, or general entertainment videotapes were provided to residents that could then be played on any
Just
TV.
way too nice.
This helped to pass the time and keep people occupied in what otherwise were extremely boring and mundane day-to-day lives. But this inability to escape from reality and simply enjoy some good entertainment was not a possibility.
Yo, I wonder. Fallout as a game as a service, whatever you say, whatever you call that, right? Where you have like every 3 months or something, you have like a new league with a new vault. Pretty much like DLCs, but not really DLCs.
Possibility in Vault 55. And because of this, it's been assumed that chaos did eventually break out, as it
I
was
wonder.
the only thing that could happen that would keep people entertained and
I just want, like,
satiated.
lots
if you
of
thought that
fucking vaults.
experiment was bad though, you definitely would not have wanted to be a part of Vault 56. Because in this vault, instead of all entertainment tapes being excluded, only one was provided. And that
Nice.
was a particularly untalented comedian doing his sets over and over again. It's
Oh,
been
no.
widely theorized that the
Not sure about
inhabitants
that,
of this
though.
vault went crazy and
Yeah,
rebelled
it's like
even
personal
faster
preference, I
than the
guess, 'cause I would
dwellers
like
of
to see, like,
55,
lots of fucking
as they
vaults.
simply grew deranged and crazy,
One full of
having to watch
zombies,
one
I don't
man
know,
tell bad
like
jokes
one completely
over
just
and over
horror.
again with no place to hide. For many of us, this occurs during our teenage
And, like,
years with our fathers
one Fallout
telling
game
bad
about
jokes,
lots of
but for
vaults.
the unlucky people assigned to this
think
vault,
it's
the
more about being
torture was
outside,
something
right?
they never
It's
could
about the
escape.
fallout.
In Vault 36, the fruit extruders meant to supply a rich and varied diet to the residents instead only produced a thin and disgusting looking watery gruel. The residents would have been very annoyed at first, but over time, likely things wouldn't have been that bad. Besides the malnourished bodies and lack of proper nutrition, on top of no real sunlight. And as we know from real life
Well, for some
experiments,
vaults
eating
which
the
can
same
enter.
thing over
Yeah, I
and
know,
over
but
every day can lead to many ailments
what I meant,
and
like,
infections that can become
just cycling through
life-threatening
vaults
if not treated.
through
But compared
different
to a lot of other
possibilities.
vaults out there, these residents had nothing to complain about. In Vault 42, every single light source and light bulb had no more than
I don't know how
40
to explain
watts
this.
provided to it. And while this sounds pretty unassuming, living in such a dim and depressing
Oh, he's missing every
environment
shot.
for so long
Or maybe not.
would have driven many residents crazy. Night vision would
Why
have
does he have a
naturally
fucking
improved due to
cyber
so
brain?
much darkness exposure, and the people inside would simply have had to have learned to survive with very little light at all. But once again, another experiment where, as bad as it sounds, trust me,
Nice shot.
it's going to get a lot worse. In Vault 53, the equipment of almost everything inside was designed to break down every few months, but only enough to still allow for somewhat easy repairs. The equipment was meant to induce a large amount of stress in all of the dwellers, and this
sounds a lot
mission it
Matrix-like.
managed to accomplish easily, as many people inside constantly lived in fear that something new was going to break once again, and their
Right? It's the whole theory about if people don't have anything to do, if they have nothing to worry about, they're gonna be so fucking unhappy. They're gonna be so unhappy. So, was it actually the second Matrix that worked, or I don't know? It's kind of crazy though, how people can. It's the same with rats, right? Or with mice. There's this experiment about mice, where they created like a mice utopia, where they don't have to worry about anything, right? You get food whenever you want to. You can, I don't know, play, or however mice play, right? Like no predators, just everything is nice. What happened? They all died. Like the male mice had nothing to strive for anymore for some reason, and didn't want to have sex anymore, and I don't know what happened to the girls. No idea.
harmonious lives would be thrown into chaos.
It's crazy.
And surprisingly, living in
We
constant
need-
fear that bad things may happen, even if those
Do we need
things
trauma,
are nothing more
trouble,
than simple
pain?
repairs, can
It's
actually
weird.
start to drive our human minds mad with anticipation, and it's theorized that many in the vault rebelled and left at some point. In Vault 29, only children under the age of 15 were allowed inside, with all of their parents being refused entry and sent to other vaults. And on
That's
top
fucked.
of this, it was filled to the brim, meaning the entire facility
the
was
overseer
nothing
then?
but an
A
army
pedo?
of children running around and screaming. This would have quickly resulted in the oldest and most mature of the group taking leadership positions, trying to learn how to be adults, while most of the other children perished due to an inability to protect one another.
That
the only
sounds
other
really
big thing
bad.
we know about this vault as well is that Harold actually stems from it. And for those of you who don't know, Harold is a recurring character in the series who, on a mission in the first game's timeline, comes into contact with a large dose of FEV that
Yo, Harold seems like he's the one. He's the one who made it out and survived. Holy shit. What a bad idea. Like, just kids under 15, right? Under 15? That's retarded. And no overseers? I mean, that would have already been bad too. Like, if you had a few adults with just some kids. That never goes well. It just doesn't. Even if you're like, okay, let's just take women. Women are not men. Right? Yeah, I don't know. Humans are just fucked. We'll be back at it? No.
transforms him
Watching
into a
movies,
monstrosity in the second
videos.
game and a literal talking tree in the third. Considering that he started out as a child alone in a vault with other children though, becoming a talking tree actually is quite the accomplishment.
What?
In Vault 79, corresponding to the atomic number of gold 79, the gold reserves of the entire United States, and eventually the Enclave later, were being stored. It was home to up to 120 dwellers.
I wanna
and
be
was the
there.
home place for gold that was secretly transferred from Fort Knox originally to inside this vault. In Fallout 76, we actually get to learn more about this vault and its history as well, which mainly just comes down to constant power struggles to either hide the truth of the vault or actors trying to gain wealth for themselves. And in-game, we actually get to decide where to put some of these reserves to help certain factions against one another. In Vault 70, the jumpsuit extruders were set to
They
fail
even
after 6
have
months,
use for gold?
likely being a catalyst for the vault dwellers to leave the facility in what would have been Fallout Van Buren, the original canceled Fallout 3 project from Interplay.
Yeah, that's a
before
whole
the
fucking
IP was
cyberdoc
bought by
I just
Bethesda,
noticed.
and they made the third installment in the series.
Holy
instead.
shit.
The vault was also said to be home to 3 Garden of Eden creation kits and would have been the original stomping ground of the
Oh,
people
it's just killing
that would
everything.
eventually found New Jerusalem, a sprawling metropolis in the wasteland. And while we don't know much more about this vault at all, it is curious to think that in another timeline, it
What
would
a
have been
cheater.
one of the most important in the series. In Vault 44, a secret section of the vault was home to a team of scientists performing extremely dangerous experiments on creatures to study the effects.
Yeah, we're going from the best, the nicest to the worst, right? We got such a long way to go, and it's
In order to keep them
Not so good
contained,
yet.
large
Still,
pins
already.
and electrical chains were used, which eventually drew so much power from the entire vault that it all short-circuited. And some of the creatures and massive insects alike escaped, and this resulted in the vault dying off. One scientist
job.
inside even tried to contact Vault Tech to relay the experiment results, but none of the communication
She'll
ever
barely
got
scratch the
through, and the
surface
facility
of
was
this
left
lore.
to rot. With so
bet,
many
I mean-
interesting findings about the animals of Fallout, we may never get to find
It's
out.
just
In
one
Vault
wall,
27,
right?
the facility was deliberately extremely overcrowded, with 2,000
And
people
right
assigned
after,
to enter
I
a
think.
space that could only comfortably maintain a few hundred. Inside, fights and riots would have immediately broken out, with the vault's food and water supplies being used in record time. Gangs would have formed to maintain order, and those deemed too old or sick would have been ostracized and left to die in the corners of the vault, now filled with dead bodies. And as time went on and resources became more and more scarce, a rationing system would have been formed with those at the top of the hierarchy taking the most for themselves. And likely, this wouldn't have been able to keep going for long, as over
That's how you
time more
talk to
people
people?
would stage an escape or kill off one another without a second thought. In Vault 17, not much is known about this facility at all.
Oh, New
but what
Vegas.
we do know
Everybody
is that
talks
in
about Vegas.
2154, the
Vegas is
Master
supposed to be
had
the best.
invaded this vault in order to get non-radiated human
Oh.
specimens for his master plan, one of which was Lily, a Nightkin super mutant from Fallout New Vegas. In Vault 6, every day a small amount of radiation would be pumped into the ventilation systems, which would have slowly turned everyone inside into feral ghouls, with the remaining humans being ripped to shreds.
Cool.
Honestly, this vault would have been pretty gruesome and could be lower on the list.
Was that
but as I
planned?
stated before, the
That wasn't planned, right? Was that an experiment by Vault-Tec again? Why would I would imagine it was like a plan, right? A plan where you just make them get used to it, build some immunity against radiation, but I guess you can't really do that.
last part of the first tier is all of these vaults that we have so little information on that are just pure speculation to go by. So now,
Also,
let's
radiation,
start
how do you get it
diving
out
into
again?
the
If
much
you let it in,
more
it's in.
crazy vaults, the ones that you're all here for.
Just keep stacking
and
up.
from this point on, buckle up, because it's about to get really weird.
All 112 was a little VR nightmare. Okay, I hope we see.
If you haven't already heard of them, Vault 68 and 69 are maybe the most wild stories in the entirety of the Fallout
Please tell me
series.
69 is just a big fucking
Originating from
orgy.
the now non-canon Fallout Bible written by Chris Avalon, they were home to some truly sick experiments. In Vault 68, the entire dwelling was staffed with 999 men and 1 woman, while in Vault 69, there were 999 women and 1 man, all adults in each. These vaults would have been
69 is where I
subject
want to go,
immense
right?
difficulty in staying alive, along with countless inbreeding. But even though we don't have any actual specifics on what happened in the vaults, we can guess as to what went on. In Vault 68, immediate infighting and power jockeying would have taken place, with only the most fierce amongst the male population getting a chance to actually have children of their own. Around
Crazy.
the clock, non-stop each year, the one female would need to remain pregnant, immediately fornicating again after giving birth in order to try and repopulate this dying vault. Any baby-born male would immediately be deemed useless and killed off or used as slave labor, and any baby-born female would be guarded with the utmost care until reaching an age where she too could join the breeding pool. The
But
society would have been structured in a high
isn't there like instant fucking incest? If it's all the same mom or all the same dad? That's all instant incest. I guess they just risk it and they just kill the fucking mutants. Or not mutants, the retards.
hierarchical and tyrannical manner, with only the most mentally and physically strong male specimens maintaining control, likely with many splinter factions and gangs forming to try and grab any sense of power. For the initial woman and any born thereafter, this experiment would become a never-ending hell of having to deal with violent men killing each other to retain power and dominance. And there
Amazing.
would have been absolutely no time to confide in anyone about anything outside of sexual or survival endeavors. And this likely would result in what would have been a quick downfall of the entire vault at some point. For the one man in Vault 69, on the other hand, he would be living what many men would consider their dream life. Because he was the only access to sperm in the entire vault, in order to maintain their population, multiple women would have to step up and become pregnant via his very likely awkward moves, meaning he would maintain a literal army of wives as he created hundreds of sons and daughters. On the other hand as well though, because of the societal structure and power now immediately gained from the woman, family upbringings and customs would likely change fast, resulting in structures likely very foreign from anything we know now. And because of this gender imbalance, the woman would either treat the men horribly and force them to do work, or they would revere them as golden symbols since they were the only way for reproduction to happen in the vault. Sadly though,
Nice.
without any other men nearby to boast about his accomplishments, this lone survivor would likely grow tired of these frivolous escapades and, due to demands from the woman, create a sperm bank which the society could tap into to produce more offspring at any time from willing
That's
females.
smart.
Infighting
That's smart. Just jizz in a fucking bottle every day. And you can still have like sex with the ones that you like, right?
here would also probably eventually break out from disagreements between the population of women, but likely would not be as violent as in Vault 68, full of pissed off and rejected men. And in another way, Vault
Sounds
69
so
would have
bad.
been a paradise for the woman, free from the bullshit of most
That sounds like a nightclub, I swear to God. Just go to a disco on a fucking Saturday evening. That's what you get. Lots of frustrated and rejected men. And they are drunk. Amazing, amazing. Like a recipe for death.
Men nowadays. Either way though, both of these vaults give us a look into how truly unbelievable some of the vault experiments could have been, and it really makes you start to wonder about how something like this would actually play out in real life after all.
How's they going? It's pretty
Do you
chill.
know what the coolest vault in Fallout history is?
No.
It's not one full of ghouls and super mutants, or one of the popular ones you've heard about from videos on Fallout 3 in New Vegas. No, it's actually a vault that never saw the light of day, that was cut from the script before the game even released. Referred to as Vault 120 and now recovered files in the base game of Fallout 4, this wholly underwater vault would have been part of a questline called 20 Leagues Under the Sea, and
That
would have
sounds nice.
seen us as the player character meeting with a submarine captain named Zhao, who would have taken us to this fully aquatic megastructure. Inside, the vault would have been staffed with multiple people, but inside the walls, something strange was going on. Some of the lights would have been broken while you navigated the more secluded parts of the vault
but is it
in
playable?
pure darkness, as the sounds of the massive ocean around you swept across the bow at all times.
Put the stuff in there.
As you walk through the walls made of glass as fish swam around you, certain parts of the structure would fall apart and flood, including at one point you potentially getting a diving power suit and venturing out into the giant ocean in search of something. And there would have been
Are they gonna
countless
show us?
terminal entries and people to talk to about the history of this strange place, which would have taken most of its inspiration
I swear to God, underwater is something that I want to experience too. Like, I don't know. Like, how about like a month underwater in some biotope? I don't know. Some glass thing and like a spaceship, but underwater. Just a spaceship underwater, and you can see outside. Got some windows. If you can't smoke, that's gonna suck though.
from the popular BioShock series to boot. But maybe most weird of all, in the hidden Fallout 4 files that revealed this cancelled vault to us, we also see the overseer
How
to
fucking
this
chill
vault
is
would have
that?
been a
How fucking chill is that, huh?
revealed this
Man, best part would be if you had like a glass tunnel to go to the other side now, but I guess you can do it, yeah, in the glass tunnel, not on top. You don't need to be on top.
cancelled vault to us, we also see the overseer to this vault would have been a gargantuan squid. How this would have worked, we have no idea,
What?
but my guess is maybe an experiment was being done to combine aquatic creatures with people by attaching a human brain
How would
to
they
a
have a
squid,
fucking
and this
squid
is why
be the
monster
overseer?
would have been an overseer. Overall though, without question, I think this has to be one of the coolest vault ideas in the entire Fallout series.
Yeah, it is.
And it's almost criminal that this was cut from the fourth game.
They're
I'm
gonna
really
put it in the
hoping that
fifth.
at some point in the future, we'll finally get to see this idea come
Definitely,
to life.
they're gonna put it
because
in
the
there.
potential for lore and cool technology combined with a top secret vault doing heinous research deep underwater is basically any
Man, all
Fallout
that riff-
fan's wet
Yo,
dream. And it's a struggle to
where's
even
the zombie
come up
fish,
with
though?
ideas with more potential than that of Vault 120.
The oceans,
Located just below the Hawthorne
the oceans are eating so much radiation every fucking day. Where's Godzilla actually? Like for real, where's all the radiation doing stuff? Except killing people. It's only killing stuff. That's what it can do. Wow.
Medical Laboratories in Los Angeles, California, Vault 4 from Season 1 of the Fallout TV show is one of the most insane and wild ever imagined. Originally revealed publicly to the American people before the bombs dropped by none other than famous actor Cooper Howard, otherwise known as the Ghoul from the TV show,
Ah, nice.
Vault 4 claimed it would be a paradise where everyone inside would be a scientist
Damn, I like that
held
girl.
back by no
She's so
restrictions.
cute.
A society formed by the principles of the scientific method, led by visionaries in the industry. There were even extensive trials and advertisements done in this vault for over 5 years leading up to the day the bombs fell. But once the nukes started dropping, the vault was immediately sealed. Inside, lead scientist and overseer Cassandra Hawthorne oversaw extensive human genetic and mutation experiments, but in order to actually find a group of people
Damn,
to
she
experiment on, they started to let in small amounts of survivors in the wasteland, luring them in with promises of safety without them knowing that they actually would be live human specimens to experiment on. This resulted in numerous birth defects, like horns or limbs growing right out of babies' heads, or
Oh.
people even being mutated to only have one eye, like a cyclops. But most horrifying of all,
pretty normal.
some of the test subjects were actually forced to mate with other radiation-resistant species, which even resulted in the creation of some creatures we see in the series nowadays,
What's a
like the
radiation,
Gulpers.
radiation
In one
resistant
heinous
species?
experiment,
Like
a
a ghoul?
woman was impregnated with irradiated animal DNA, after which she
Nope,
gave birth
it's a
to
fucking
school
animal.
of baby gulpers, which then ate her alive, tearing her from limb. Birth to a school of baby gulpers, which then ate her alive, tearing her from limb to limb in a massive pool of blood which formed around her. Eventually, though, karma would befall these evil doctors, as these now new and dangerous monsters they had created rebelled and killed many of the scientist overlords that had tested and abused them endlessly. This
Damn.
itself led to a full-on counter-rebellion inside the vault, where many of the test subjects originating from the surface rose up and took control away from the main scientists, after which they instituted a new policy where they would allow democratic votes for letting in refugees from the outside world to help them survive, giving back to a
Neverland
world that had
refugees
taken
inside,
so
I
much
swear to
from
God.
them. And for years,
That's the
they
stupidest thing you
continued
can do.
on this journey in harmony, even after the nuking of Shady Sands nearby, where vault dwellers and refugees alike would live in the vault and forge around in the wasteland to maintain the vault and its functions. In the Fallout TV show, Lucy and Maximus actually stumble
They got
upon
a
the vault
fake
during
fucking
this
background
period,
there, right?
where they discover the remnants of strange genetic mutations now carried down through multiple generations, along with discovering the infamous
Well,
level
these
12
vaults were
of
wild,
the vault,
I
where
bet.
previous inhabitants who were experimented on extensively are being held in cryo chambers to keep them alive until new technology progress can be
Man,
made
why do we
to
not have
save them from their
cryotech yet?
eternal torture. On this level, we also get a glimpse
I
at
swear to
some
God,
of
like,
the horror
If we had cryotech yet, I bet like 30% of humanity would be interested in like, yo, wake me up in 100 years. Maybe more. Maybe more. Like lots of single people, I would do it for sure. Though it's like, there's no guarantee, right? It's like dying in your sleep. You're not gonna wake up when you die in your sleep. You're not gonna be waking up and be like, oh fuck, let's call the hospital real quick. Let's call the ambulance. And the same with like cryotech, right? Like even if you tell them wake me up in 500 years, what if shit happens in those 500 years? What if they forget about you? Yeah, shit. But like maybe 10 years. Maybe just cryotech sleep for like 10 years.
human creature hybrids and other experimentation that was taking place. And more than anything, it
be
goes
so
to show
interesting.
that sometimes science too can let us down.
Wait, that would be the greatest cheat ever. Invest some money into something and then just, all right. I'm gonna put some money into crypto and wake me up in like 5 years. Oh shit.
Sticking an entire group of people who will stop at
What a
nothing to
gamble.
make technological and biological progress means that along the way, human morals and dignity can simply be stripped away, all in the name of something we usually think of as good, science. Despite how much good these people can do, sometimes when given no restraints, their ideals of progress can also result in nothing but pain and suffering too. Because in the world of Fallout, as bad as the giant corporations like Vault-Tec are,
Oh yeah, this guy was
sometimes
Cyclops,
even
right?
just the more
I forgot about
inconspicuous
that.
individuals, those focused on making a better society,
That's fucked
can
up.
actually tear it down the most. And it's a perfect analogy for how
Of
the
three
problems in
broken-
Fallout stem not only from a
stuff on
broken
purpose? No.
society,
They said
but
that
a
before, I
broken
think.
sense of individualism too. Nonetheless, Vault 4 has some of the most insane stories in the entire Fallout series.
Is that
and shows
another-
just how too much of anything can be a bad thing.
Gee, fucking
While Fallout
mutants.
Tactics is no longer considered canon in the Fallout universe, it still did give us a look into one
Oh,
of the
Vault
coolest
Zero.
Vault ideas out there, and also one that more than likely will eventually be canon based on the name. Vault Zero, constructed
be.
into the Cheyenne Mountain Complex in Colorado, was home to essentially the main operational vault and base where most of the pre-war United States geniuses and leadership could be housed. Inside, people were put into cryogenic stasis pods similar to Vault 111, and their brains were removed from their body, all being hooked up into one massive supercomputer called the Calculator. The machine was supposed to function as a mastermind of sorts that would serve as a computational device to best figure out how to nurture human society into post-war greatness.
That sounds like
But
not so
due to
cool.
budget cuts in the Department of Defense during the Vault's construction, several important backup systems were not added to the neural links.
Nice.
And this eventually led the Calculator itself to become corrupted and begin a so-called pacification protocol, where now the supercomputer's main directive was to purge the wasteland of all life and kill all humans without question. In Fallout Tactics, as the player character the Warrior, you and the Brotherhood of Steel must work to stop this fearsome machine at all costs. And while this is now no longer fully canon, the events in Vault Zero definitely make you think about what most of the pre-war leadership in the Enclave or inside certain vaults must be doing. And as we know, there's been tons of lore in this series about what's really going on.
So nothing about the
ranging from
elite.
Vault Tech dropping the bombs as implied in Season 1 of the show, to the Enclave or United States government using the vaults as experiments to help them in long-form space travel to colonize other planets in a previously cancelled Interplay version
Oh, that's
of a
what they
Fallout
planned on?
cinema adaptation. But whatever
Themselves.
turns out to be true
was
in the
just
lore
playing God.
eventually, it's vaults like Vault Zero which give us a great
Sounds
look
fun.
into the twisted minds behind
Sounds better
all
than
the
just
madness
15-year-olds
how they would
and
stop
no
at nothing
overseers.
to achieve pure power and domination while cutting corners to get there. Among the pantheon of most recognizable Fallout vaults of all time, without question, somewhere near the top would be Vault 108 from Fallout 3. Affectionately known as the Gary Vault by most players, this hidden hideaway in the middle of the Capital Wasteland is more than meets the eye. When you first enter inside, you are met with gruesome scenes of blood and decay, along with
Nice.
some dead bodies, all of one man named Gary, all with different numbers
Gary?
behind their name. And shortly after this, you stumble upon an alive version of the same man,
Bitch.
accompanied by many of his other brethren, all shouting Gary at the top of their lungs and looking to try and kill you in a manic rage. It's one of the most absurd, sad,
I swear it would be so funny if they were all called Jerry and was some Rick and Morty stuff.
and almost funny vaults in the entire
Let's be real, that makes sense, right? That makes sense. Something went wrong. Everybody else on Earth died, but Jerry somehow survived, found a cloning device in Rick's garage, and
franchise, and it all comes
Now there's
down
Jerry
to what
everywhere.
happened inside years before. You see, Vault 108 was meant to house 500 residents for just under 40 years, but was also designed so that in year 20, most of the vault's power
40.
supply would fail. Along with this, all standard positions of power were left unfilled, instead to be chosen by the Overseer themselves. And the Overseer selected to start the project was someone with a rare form of cancer and only 3 years left to live. Essentially, the Vault was designed to fail from the beginning, but even more interestingly, in those early years, an experiment began to take place in human cloning. Scientists in the Vault began
How do they
testing
make
with
money off
highly
of
new
that,
tech
though?
for human cloning trials, and their subject they chose to test with was a man named Gary. But with each iteration of him that they cloned, the clones would simply shout the word Gary and act very aggressively towards everyone
Pokemon.
inside. So because of this, the clones were all kept in a containment facility in the science room. But after getting to clone number
kinda funny.
54, finally the Garys had had enough and rose up against their captors and took over the vault, slaughtering
but they're not stupid, right? They just shout Gary. They can't think, right?
everyone inside and driving the rest of the survivors outside of the vault. When you arrive as the
Even the
Vault
Jerrys?
Dweller in Fallout 3, the vault is now nothing but a horrible murder scene of the past, with an army of this one man Gary shouting his name as they chase you with baseball bats. You can even find creepy remnants of the past, like a fully barricaded woman's bathroom or blood smears on the wall, and tell the harrowing story of this vault that was losing power and the people inside hiding in darkness from this army of one deranged man, Gary. It's one of the strangest
Yeah, but are there
vaults
cameras and shit? Like, they're doing experiments, right? And they're just failing. It's also an experiment. Do they somehow like
in the
record
series'
everything?
history without question, but also maybe
They
one
should,
of the
right?
coolest and funniest. And on top of that, the vault itself is super creepy and full of interesting lore. So in many ways is one of the best examples of a Fallout vault of all time, both horrifying and hilarious at the same time. And once again, it shows the insane lengths scientists in the Fallout series were willing to go to further their research, and reveals that the biggest monsters in the series aren't always super mutants or ghouls,
that research?
but rather the human beings we all call friends. In fact, it even makes you wonder what other random
just
side experiments
swear to
could
God,
have
that's
been
just burning
happening
money.
in other vaults that don't even directly pertain to the main directive. Maybe there's even some other vaults out there that have gone completely off the rails as well, not even due to the wishes of Vault Tech in the first place. Another lesser-known vault that finds itself outside Fallout canon, but is nonetheless fascinating and beloved, is Vault 43 from the One Man and a Crate Full of Puppets miniseries. Staffed with a super small population of people, the vault was made up of only 20 men and 10 women, all fending for
That
themselves.
panther?
However, the real horrifying part came from the other thing that was in this vault as well, a massive and hungry panther. Likely, early on in the vault, residents would have been curious as to what was going on. But soon
Why?
when the panther emerged and found them, it would have poured onto its prey and eaten the first man or woman alive. The residents would have scattered around screaming and fearful, but while the panther feasted on its meal, this likely would have given some time for everyone to plan. And with
Yeah.
the majority of the residents still remaining at this point likely, you would imagine that they could have banded together to take this one panther down, but we never get any actual information on this vault, so we'll never know. For example, if they were able to make makeshift weapons to stab this hulking beast, it would have been easy. But if the vault was staffed with say nothing, fighting a panther with your bare hands, even as a large group, might prove impossible.
I don't
and
think
also,
so.
what happened if they did defeat or all die to
I
the
swear to
panther?
God, if you
Would
just
the vault
pile
doors
onto that
simply
shit-
open after
If you just pile onto that, if like 20 men just run at it, look, the thing is, that thing's gonna attack somebody, grab them, bite them. Okay. Rest, jump on that thing. Just lay on it. It's gonna suffocate. And you can also start, like, I swear to God, if there's like 3 men, take the fucking paw, you can break that. I don't think that 3 men won't be able to like just break a fucking panther's leg. Also, their tail is like super fucking sensitive. You can just break that too.
as a celebration for the gladiatorial victory? And if they did, would this
That's
make this
like-
vault the fastest to
That would
open
piss them
ever,
off.
beating
I
even
bet.
Vault 76? Regardless, it's hilarious to imagine completely weird experiments like this happening in the wasteland, where Vault Tech and government employees designing vaults before the war like
I played
this
the games but
must
love the
have been
universe.
so sick,
Same.
wanting to do nothing more than see
Love the
humanity
idea.
at its worst moments fighting for life. While Fallout 76 is many people's most hated in the series, it does lie home to some of the most unique and interesting ideas in the entire franchise. And one of those is Vault 51. And that's because instead of it being led by a traditional overseer, Vault 51 was under the purview of an artificial machine superintelligence known as Zax, who was in charge of selecting the overseer itself. Specifically, it was a Zax version 1.3C unit, the most advanced that we know of, and also
He
the
does
only
only
one
select?
in use. You see, Zax were actually first created by Vault Tech and West Tech scientists during the pre-war era, and the first iterations were simply meant to help with logistical workflows and data management.
everything
But
looks
as
so
time went
futuristic,
on,
I love
it became
it.
clear they might serve as a perfect leadership team for the vaults themselves. By the time the bombs actually fell though, as far as we know, Vault 51 was the only place to actually be retrofitted with this experimental next-gen version of the Zax hardware and software. In essence, a true artificial intelligence. When the bombs first fell and the vault was sealed, 52 residents were inside its walls, and immediately Zax got to work trying to figure out how to select the best possible overseer for the vault using its analytical abilities. To start, Zax talked to many of the residents and proposed a democratic voting system, but after all of the residents due to
Right.
ego concerns voted for themselves, Zax started to try more and more systems of government.
Wait, everybody voted for themselves? Not anybody voted for somebody else? That's kind of crazy. That is kind of crazy. There's always somebody who doesn't want to be the overseer.
To see what would
Or maybe
stick.
they just didn't
Sadly,
vote.
though, no matter what they tried, there were always issues that made Zax realize that a more personal
What's that?
approach would be needed. As desperate times call for desperate measures, something one of the residents told
He's just
Zax
looking
that
around while
set
that's
in
happening.
motion a much more sinister storyline.
What's
Armed with this
happening?
new information,
We're
Zax
watching
began
this.
running a
We're
host
learning
of
about
experiments on the
Fallout.
vault dwellers in order to determine
Every
who
Fallout
amongst them
vault
was
explained.
most fit for the job. After all, what better way to select a great leader than put them through trial and tribulation? So Zax started doing countless things like moving the citizens into worse living conditions to see how they handled it, trying to cause political strife to monitor who could rise above it, and even doing annoying things like rigging video games to always fail for specific people, causing them to become very irate. As time went on though, these experiments from Zax became more and more absurd, so much so that residents inside the vault began going insane, with some of them even taking their own lives. As Zax became more and more displeased, the intensity of the experiments only began to increase exponentially, including things like randomly placing loaded guns in the vault to test the dwellers' emotional response in the situation, at least as Zax saw it.
Cool.
And as you could guess, this eventually resulted in every single person in the vault, except for one, dying off. And now only left
Due to
with one human
suicide?
being at his disposal, Zax was forced to make him the overseer, but made his life a living hell for years on end, as the two of them only had each other to talk to. By the time you actually find the vault in Fallout 76, it becomes clear that you have been led here by none other than
By
Zax
Zack, yeah.
himself, who
He
after
wants a new
discovering the
overseer.
nearby Vault 76 opening, is trying to get some of the residents from there to come over to his vault so he can once again run more experiments to find the best overseer, seeing the current one as not up to snuff. It's one of the weirdest and definitely most unique vault stories in the canon, and what I love
That's
so
crazy.
much about it is how much of a role artificial intelligence and tech plays in it
2078.
all. Because for me, some of the most interesting parts of Fallout is all of the technology and top secret research that was going on with things we might not even
Lots
understand,
of dead people.
and seeing how bad they can all turn out. And also, the Vault is a great look into how societal structures humans have come up with all have obvious flaws, and how difficult it is to find a truly great leader, and also how hard it is to craft a structure to even find one. It seems like every installment in the Fallout series is met with a large amount of love and hate alike, but one thing almost everyone agrees on is Far Harbor is one of the best things that happened to Fallout 4. This new and mysterious location is home to many new monsters, stories, and something usually unheard of for Bethesda, good writing. But for me, one of the most memorable parts
I thought
of the entire
Bethesda's known for
DLC
bugs.
was actually one of the vaults that came along with it, Vault 118. Built beneath the Cliff's Edge Hotel in Far Harbor, it was originally planned as a sort of experiment of the higher and lower classes. Marked as an ultra-luxury portion of the hotel, the vault was supposed to be a home of 10 wealthy residents who lived in an affluent section of the interior, right next to 300 lower-class inhabitants who would have had to have listened to every single one of their demands. Inside, robots would carry out all requests from the rich dwellers, who would essentially live like old aristocracy or kings and queens.
Nice,
But
I like
midway
that.
through the construction of the vault, funding dried up for the
Oh,
more
what the fuck?
dingy second half of the experiment. And instead, at the suggestion of one of the rich financiers who was going to live inside the vault named Dr. Riggs, a researcher at General Atomics working on the robotics program, they could instead implant all of their brains into the recently developed RoboBrain project. These strange-looking automatrons, instead of using a central processing unit or CPU, had a live human brain attached to them instead. And in the case of Vault 118, these rich financiers actually liked the idea because it gave them a much longer lifespan, meaning more time to outlive the Great War and its aftermath until a new America and utopia could be born. So
Then
with the
you're
help
still a
of just
fucking
one
robot.
human overseer inside initially, when the bombs dropped, the vault was sealed away with only construction on the nicer half done, and only a couple robo-brains inside. In Fallout 4, you actually get a signal from this vault asking you for help, and when you arrive, you discover a horde of old and rich robo-brain human hybrids who are reaching out to the outside world because of a murder mystery that has just broken out. Someone
this
inside
fucking
the vault has
brain
been murdered, and all of the
octopus
robo-brain
creeps me out.
humans are blaming each other for who did it, resulting in one of the most wacky but also memorable vaults in Fallout history, where you must
Oh, nice
basically
swords.
solve a murder and mystery by talking to everyone and uncovering dark secrets in the vault's past. And also, a vault with some of the nicest interior decoration out there, which makes sense considering its origin.
He
For
took
me
the
though,
pirate
it's
hat.
just another great example of how twisted and evil those with money in the Fallout universe can be,
He
revealing
took the
that
pirate
there's
hat.
nothing they won't do in order to help themselves. And even more so, it's a great example of what makes
Fuck that
Fallout such a
octopus, you.
legendary series in the first place. I mean, seriously, try and imagine something this distinct or awesome in any other series. There just are no other games like it. If there's one thing we can all agree is fun, despite whether or not it's actually good, it's gambling.
Is that Tony
and what
Stark's
better
father?
place to have a vault based all around this destructive pastime
Fuck
than
yeah.
Vault 21, located right below the Strip in Fallout New Vegas. Originally designed as a vault all about chance, everyone that found themselves inside was given equal social standing no matter who they were before. Disputes between anyone in
That's
the vault
cool.
were always handled through gambling, and this meant that no matter what your current standing in society was, there was always a chance Lady Luck would be on your side, and things could change in a moment. Surprisingly, despite some rather sad losses for some folks over the years, overall, society in the vault did fairly well, managing to keep everyone safe for years while also keeping most people satiated with all the fun they were having. At some point though, a man named House, a main character in Fallout
Dr.
New
House?
Vegas, contacted the vault dwellers from just above
Dr.
on
House
the strip
MD?
and gave them an offer to allow them to
Microdick?
come back to the surface and integrate into his new society.
that what it
Inside the
means?
vault, there were vicious debates about what to do, but as always, the final decision came down to a multi-hour long blackjack battle to decide the fate of the vault. Those who wanted to leave ended up winning, and when everyone else had reached the surface, House announced his plans to fill the entire vault with cement and strip it of all useful technology. Luckily though, one girl named Sarah along with her brother were able to negotiate with House, and instead he only filled a majority of the vault with cement, leaving
Why?
the front section untouched, after which it was turned into a hotel for a short stint to make money on the Vegas Strip. More than anything though, the most interesting part
Why
about
fill
this
it with
vault's
cement? Isn't
history
that, like,
lies
such a
in those
waste?
early years, when quite literally the lives of everyone inside came down to nothing more than the flip of a coin, where societal structures and hierarchies all were simply random chance instead of hard work and genetics. It really did create an entirely different kind of civilian lifestyle, and while it was fun, probably also doomed the entire population in the long term, as all it took was one unlucky day to wind up with the entire facility full of cement. As most of you probably
That's
already
true.
know, the first season of the Fallout TV show on Amazon was a massive success.
It
With
was.
over 65
I
million
should rewatch
viewers in
that.
just a couple of weeks, the Fallout franchise has solidified itself as a juggernaut in not just games, but all of media. But part of the reason for the show's massive success is that it stayed so true to what made the series so great in the first place, and a big part of that is really awesome starting vaults. And in the case of Vaults 31 through 33, the build-ups and reveals in the show definitely hit that mark. The actual purpose of this trifecta of vaults all built next to one another was one big Vault Tech secret. In Vault 31, in a massive chamber of cryogenic pods, some of the most loyal and dedicated Vault Tech employees from the pre-war era were being housed asleep, all under the
Nice.
watchful eye of one of their own named Bud, only
Just
being
runs away and
kept alive
explodes.
in a robo-brain container as he slowly went crazy. The vault was constructed with the sole purpose of allowing Vault-Tec members to survive hundreds of years later in order to then repopulate the wasteland and build anew. It was believed
Take a piss. Yeah. Great.
Believed that these members would be perfect candidates for
I feel
this
like every Waltz
process
is a new Black
because they
Mirror.
were such good management.
Yeah,
and
kinda,
as
right?
Bud saw it, good management was the key to the future. But in order to actually build that future, the Vault-Tec employees in 31 needed a way to make more people. And that's where Vault 32 and 33 come in, breeding pools for those ancient human beings and cryopods. Residents in these vaults, while not management, were specifically chosen for their good genetics to help the Vault-Tec population. So every time an overseer from Vault 31 was about to perish, a new one would be woken up from cryogenic sleep and through rigged elections would become the overseer of the vaults yet again. And during this process, they would impregnate other vault dwellers in order to keep their lineage alive. In the show though, near the start we see
That's chill.
Moldaver infiltrate Vault 32 and take Lucy's father, Overseer Hank, away. And this causes Lucy to venture out of the vault, and on the journey we see her go on in the show. It's here that she learns that years ago her mother inside the vault had actually discovered there were people outside that were alive and thriving, and that she was lied to. She took Lucy and her little brother to the surface and found the city of Shady Sands, a new stable society being formed under the NCR, or New California Republic. Hank, looking to find his children, made his way to Shady Sands where he was able to get his children back. But after begging his wife to come too, she said she wanted to stay in this new civilization and help rebuild Earth. But now seeing it for himself, Hank realized that Shady Sands and the NCR were actually competition for the future that Vault-Tec and the management teams had envisioned. And if left to its own devices, might even mean they wouldn't hold any power. So Hank did the unthinkable, and with his Vault-Tec credentials, decided to launch a nuclear bomb at Shady Sands and made his way back to the vault below as everything went up in flames. This sick and twisted man, along with everyone in Vault-Tec, were willing to stop at nothing to keep their power. Even things like nuking
Crazy.
an entire innocent and now flourishing society in the wasteland.
Imagine. You were just done with the nukes like 200 years ago. Oh, good. Look at that. Another nuke.
Or allowing
More
residents in
radiation.
Vault 32 to die and be covered up once they found out about the experiments. The experiment going on in
Funny part with the nukes is, wasn't supposed to be like the ultimate threat. Like nobody does shit because otherwise the nuke's gonna happen. That's cool. Because it doesn't hold Putin back at all. Or Trump. Okay, maybe it's holding Trump back for now.
Fallout New Vegas's Vault 34 wasn't a particularly heinous one just based on the idea, but it did lead to some catastrophic outcomes. Because the special secret about this vault was that it was home to a massive armory overstocked with firearms and ammunition. Vault-Tec wanted to see what would happen if a large group of vault dwellers had access to such dangerous weaponry, if they were to be pushed to the brink. To do this, a large majority of the vault was dedicated to recreational facilities like pools and almost no room left for.
Why did they need vaults for all those weird experiments? Oh wait, yeah. It's for space exploration. So they want to deem they want to see if people are fit to have access to strong weapons. They're gonna have a vault with like no weapons, handguns, maybe one just knives. They want to find out. But the problem is, like, every human is different.
So while at first it wasn't a big issue, over time as the vault became more and more overcrowded, distrust and riots began to break out. Foreseeing a
Yay.
potential issue, the overseer of the vault locked away access to the armory behind his terminal. But this didn't stop residents with guns already from staging an all-out revolution, where a huge majority of the population banded together and forced their way outside of the vault. This group later became known as the Boomers, and we are able to even find and interact with them in New Vegas. But for the vault residents that were still left inside during this chaos, they used this moment to try and gain control of the armory while the guards were preoccupied. And this only led to more disorder. Eventually though, tensions began to wane as time went on, but only for a short period, because soon after these massive events, the Overseer proclaimed a new population control measure that pissed off most of the remaining residents. So once again, a riot broke out. However, this time the riot was mainly centered around the vault itself, with many people trashing absolutely all electronics and areas to try and get into the armory that was sealed away. During this event though, somehow the door to the vault itself was permanently sealed, requiring outside intervention. And on top of this, a radiation leak had started due to damage, and was beginning to pump the vault full of toxic chemicals. Now with no hope of seeing the outside world, and radiation flowing everywhere, families inside had to watch as human beings transformed into feral ghouls and started killing everyone in sight. Almost ironic for a vault that had some of the highest firepower in history. And it goes to show that sometimes even the knowledge of power being so close can cause chaos to be unleashed, without the power itself being used much at all. Simply by there being an armory full of weapons in the vault, everyone started to freak out at the possibility of them being used, and it caused multiple uprisings. Because this
Sounds like a
fear
Cold
of the
War,
human
right?
condition and people swept up in it became more dangerous than anything locked away
That's what I
in
wanna
that
do.
armory.
That's what I want to do. I want to play an apocalypse game where you farm, where you make food and all that shit. I don't want to. Okay, maybe I don't know. Maybe some simulation game. Oh yeah, they are billions. But I wanted more like Settlers X Apocalypse. Something like that. And then every now and then there's attacks too, but yeah, something like that.
Yet another Fallout vault that, rather than succumbing to some crazy experiment, perished due to nothing more than the human spirit. It feels like one of the most underrated and important parts of any vault in Fallout is who is chosen as the Overseer. And in the case of
True.
Vault 114 from Fallout 4, I think they chose the perfect man for the job. Nicknamed Soup Can Harry, this presumably homeless man was given the position of overseer to this luxury and high-class vault in Boston after extensive rounds of interviews on multiple candidates.
Interesting.
For this vault,
Can we see
Vault-Tec was
those?
looking to run an experiment where rich and pampered citizens were to be stripped of their amenities and live under the iron rule of a completely incompetent dictator. And well, Harry was about as incompetent as they come.
But
He
no
would constantly
dictator, right?
exclaim that the government used taxes to fund Illuminati Freemason sex parties, and even at one point let it slip that he literally eats Abraxo cleaner products when he said, "I seen them back of Abraxo boxes. No for consumption? Don't you tell me what to do. I'll eat what I want." A true American hero, in my eyes.
Nice.
For the Vault residents, however,
Freedom.
they didn't quite see it like that, and complained endlessly about the conditions they had to live under from this divine dumpster diving hero. Sadly though, by 2287, the Vault had been overtaken by the mobster Skinny Malone and his crew of Triggermen, relinquishing
Great.
Soup Can Harry from his duties. Maybe the greatest overseer there ever was. Vault 96...
They should tell us why he was so great. I kind of expected like they wanted like a dictator that fucks them all over, but I wanted like Soup King Carry to be like super nice to everybody and like full of empathy, like exactly what they didn't expect.
from Fallout 76 was meant to be in some ways a recreation of Noah's Great Ark. Inside, over 10,000 animals were being kept in cryogenic chambers, as only 5 scientists inside were to slowly release them into the wasteland throughout the years in order to repopulate and heal the planet. However, the real experiment going on was a little more menacing than just that. Once the vault doors shut and scientists were trapped inside, the vault mainframe quickly let them know that instead they would all be performing experimentation on these helpless animals using radiation and other viruses, all in an effort to combat what was happening.
What the fuck is that robot? That robot is just for killing, right? Let's be honest. What is that robot and why does it have titties and nice hips? Let's be honest, I would be dead.
Outside. Every week, the
By the
scientists
time
had
I
to
would
hit a
figure out
certain
that it's not
quota
a
of
sex robot, I
progress,
would be dead.
otherwise the mainframe would target them and end their lives immediately. As you can imagine, this led to a lot of stress inside this dungeon, but luckily, unbeknownst to everyone, the overseer of the vault who they hated actually over years devised a plan for them to escape. After creating a
Then
virus
teleport?
to upload to the mainframe, the robot turned against the vault dwellers and overseer and instantly killed all of them. But it was too late, and the mainframe was taken down in this attack, causing the vault door to be opened and all cryopods to be turned off. Suddenly, thousands of animals poured out of the vault, some which were subject to intense experimentation and even might be the cause for some of the weird and strange animals we see nowadays. But even more so, there was one special entity known as Specimen X SCP-001,
What's
which was a
that?
top secret animal from Bay 86 that none of the scientists ever even saw, but from research seemed to have abilities to bend time and space around itself.
The
As to what
fuck?
happened to this strange being and where it is now, we may never know, but it does have the potential to unlock some of the most powerful things we have ever seen in the Fallout universe and could play a key role in future quest lines or stories.
If it
What
can
we do
bend
know,
time,
however, is
what the fuck? If it can bend time, I would just go to a better time, right? And what the fuck is also like if you can bend time, like right? It's the old tale about time travel. Like you travel time, but do you travel space? Like what good is it gonna be if you're gonna be like 20 years in the past in the same spot? You're somewhere in space. You instantly pop. That's it. You're dead. Gotta figure out how to do it right?
is that sometime after the Great Exodus event from Vault 96, an elusive businessman named Edgar Blackburn took over the now empty vault and used the technology and tools inside to help aid him on some FEV research he was doing to help humanity thrive in the wasteland. With the aid of a local group of mercenaries called the Hellcat Company, people nearby were being kidnapped and brought to this
Asmongold's
vault
in
to
the
be
game. I
tested
didn't know
on
that.
with
That's
gruesome
crazy.
experimentation to see how to create even better and more obedient superhuman mutants with FEV. Truly, Vault 96 is just a really bad place to be.
Yeah. Oh, now we're gonna get really fucked up shit. Real horror. Is there gonna be tier 4 too?
Fallout is no stranger to insane human experimentation and crazy narratives, but not many reach the absolutely mind-blowing heights of the story
The
behind
plants
Vault
kill.
22 from
Didn't
Fallout
somebody
New
earlier
Vegas.
say
A facility that was
23,
originally
yeah.
constructed
Gives you
under the
plant
auspice
trauma.
of genetic and experimentation trials on crops and other
That's-
plant life, but turned out to be so much more. You see, before the Great War kicked off the nuclear Armageddon and subsequent fallout in the series, the world of Fallout was actually going through a food shortage and famine. On top of rising tensions between the biggest nations in the world and battles breaking out everywhere, people were struggling to get enough food. And because of this, Vault-Tec set up Vault 22 as a main central stage for ongoing research into advanced fertilization and crop production, along with better performing pesticides. So when the doors first shut in 2077, the scientists
pesticides?
assigned to the Vault got to work with their research, hoping to one day leave their lives behind in this cramped palace and come out with their findings on how to make better food in a new world. But part of the experiment taking place here involved lots of donations from rich pre-war clients and massive organizations, one of which was an entomopathogenic fungus designed for pest control. Funguses like this work by taking over a host's body, in this case insects, and slowly taking over their mind and body,
That's okay.
all while producing more spores that through airborne
That's the stuff from The Last of Us, right? Mycorpsia? I don't know.
transmission reached new
Has a
hosts.
fucked up
The
name.
insects infected with this affliction also die a gruesome death. And by the way, things like this actually exist in real life too. But nonetheless, on its own, this was no problem, as the scientists in Vault 22
Oh, yeah.
were dealing with
Obviously, it exists in real life too, but in Last of Us, it's gonna attack humans, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna attack humans in this one too, right?
many similar fungi. Sadly though, in this case, the strange organism had actually been sent from Big MT's X-22 Botanical Garden, a nearby highly funded research facility shrouded in secrecy. Unbeknownst to the Vault dwellers, this fungus could not only infect insects, but also human beings too. At first, it was only bouts of pneumonia and
What did I
problems
say?
breathing. But soon it developed into chills, a fever, and a terribly uncontrollable cough too. Soon though, entire spore colonies started to form on these human beings as they dropped to the floor dead, and millions of tiny fungus started to fill the vault. A panic ensued as these human beings began to transform into what we called spore crawlers, covered from head to toe in green with strange appendages growing out
This
of them.
guy?
Not sure how to handle the situation, the remaining residents that were unaffected set off a gas explosion which only angered the monsters more,
Nice.
which started to viciously tear the survivors limb from limb, screeching in pain. But by what seemed like a stroke of luck, 118 survivors were able to somehow escape the vault without succumbing to the onslaught. And from there, they formed a small tribe that banded together and headed north to Utah, eventually making their way to Zion Canyon. Here, they found a small group of Mexican refugees who they swiftly slaughtered. Mothers, children, and anyone in the camp they could get their hands on was decimated, all in an attempt to seemingly get more supplies for themselves to stay alive.
Cool.
However, this was an especially strange and violent act for vault dwellers, people who are usually considered the babies of the wasteland. And a nearby native of Utah, Randall Clark, thought the same, which is why he started to spy on them and their new camp, after which he noticed everyone was endlessly coughing with some strange sickness, and many were starting to glow green. But most horrifying of all, Randall discovered that inside the camp, the Vault 22 descendants were actually eating the Mexican people alive. Utter disgust swept over Randall, and he went into an all-out war with the intruders, killing as many of them as possible, while a majority managed to flee, with no further updates being known. Without a doubt, it's one of the most insane and horrifying stories in Fallout Vault history, and goes to show that even the facilities created with the best intentions always devolve into something much more sick and twisted. And now with many of these spore crawlers out in the wasteland spreading their fungus and infecting more people, it makes you wonder how many of the monsters we see out in the wasteland are due to radiation, and how many are nothing more than human beings performing unforgettable monstrosities, creating the spore crawlers or gulpers like Vault 4.
Exactly. How many fucking monsters did they create?
When I think about the worst possible thing that could happen in vaults and Fallout, a lot of the time it comes down to not just detestable acts of violence or physical torture, but even more so, mental anguish. And what better way to cause something like that than the experiment that went on in Vault 106 from Fallout 3. Inside the vault, a horde of people were being contained under the watchful eye of scientists, where after only 10 days inside post the bombs falling in the Great War, the test was supposed to begin. Under the parameters, for 30 minutes, a set of highly potent psychoactive drugs were to be released into every chamber in the vault, causing mass hysteria and hallucination. And well, it worked. Multiple of the dwellers in the vault suddenly became enraged, along with seeing and hearing strange beings that were all around them. In an instant, some of them even began to gnaw away at their own bodies, or attack other innocent people around them, even family members.
Fucking
but
experiments.
Most peculiar of all, the question around what these psychoactive drugs even are and the purpose of their testing comes into play. And well, we might just get our answer for
it was just for fun, right?
When we visit the vault 200 years later.
It was just for fun.
3. Because inside, we find that not only are there multiple dead bodies and scenes of torture, but those psychoactive drugs are still being pumped into the vault. It seems like what was supposed to be just a short test to study the effects of people losing their minds never actually stopped. And even more strange, as you start to explore the vault, it becomes apparent that the dead bodies aren't the only things down here. You find some people labeled as survivors that are still alive and in good mental standing, including a family trapped in a room fending for their lives. And it makes us start to ask the question, what exactly is going on here? And even more peculiar, if you get to the very bottom of the vault, you find an evil scientist in a lab coat still fully alive, presumably a person who was instrumental in the initial experiment. But remember, this vault is now over 200 years old, so anyone inside would presumably be the same age or more, and considering they aren't ghoulified, something really insane is going on. One explanation could be that the people inside are raiders or other explorers like yourself who came in to get a look and became trapped. But that wouldn't explain how they have been able to handle the non-stop barrage of this psychoactive drug for so long. After all, the initial experiment of only 30 minutes was supposed to turn most people into brainless monsters. So what if something even crazier was going on? Maybe while these drugs were surely supposed to kill most people, they weren't supposed to affect everyone. And what if these tests being done here were actually something that made a lot of sense for Vault-Tec and their research? Immortality. Maybe the psychoactive drugs were designed to not affect a certain portion of the vault population and instead allow them to survive forever. It would explain the scientists at the very bottom of the vault and the helpless family surviving for so long.
But did they already know that there's gonna be... Did they test if they're gonna survive it? It seems like they knew already who's gonna survive it, and it doesn't even make sense to kill them, right?
Along with
the
no
others,
food
I mean,
and supplies. And it really makes you wonder, how many other vault experiments that we have not seen of or heard of have potential crazy twists like this? Because at the end of the day, whether it be Vault-Tec or the old war government and enclaves secretly pulling the strings, things like this would perfectly make sense for their theorized end goals of either having a complete monopoly forever over Earth or escaping into the stars. After all, what better way to retain control than to live forever? And what better way to live forever than to test your serums first on some unsuspecting and innocent Vault dweller?
Yeah, obviously.
Most forms of torture in Vaults in the Fallout series are pretty on the nose, meaning they take the shape in the form of very obvious things, like direct violence, experimentation.
How do you test if something makes you live forever, though? It seems like stupid. Like, you got somebody, some old grandpa who wants to live forever, and he funds a study or some corrupt program. He's gonna be dead by the time they find out that it did work right.
Or commands. But in the case of Vault 19 from Fallout New Vegas, things were a lot more subtle. Instead of inducing severe paranoia through chemical or violent means, instead, this experiment into driving Vault residents mad was to be done through nothing but subtle subliminal messaging. Constantly, as residents inside tried to make themselves at home, they would be subjugated to random, highly pitched noises, unusual drafts of air from vents, or quick flashes of lights blinking in patterns that seemed to resemble some sort of code. And because of all of this, many people inside started to go crazy with paranoia, blaming others for malfunctions in the vault, or claiming that they were being drugged.
What's the reason for the experiment, though?
Unbeknownst to most of them, though, behind it all, overseers and scientists were monitoring everything, slowly driving everyone more and more into madness. In fact, when exploring the vault ourselves, we can even find many patient records from the doctor's office that explain how many residents were starting to experience full-on psychosis or extreme bouts of anger. However, most of the knowledge of the vault stops there, as when hundreds of years later, when the powder...
If anyone wants a tarot card reading, you know where to find me. If anybody wants a tarot card reading, shouldn't you have read it in your cards?
Gangers led by Samuel Cook discovered the vault and used its facilities, it had already been abandoned, with no final ending to what happened to be found. Some even believe that the original residents may have escaped at some point and are now roaming the wasteland paranoid that everyone is out to get them, killing anyone they find on sight. In fact, maybe a good amount of raiders we find in game, rather than being born to the harsh surface, were born to even more harsh
We're learning about some Fallout
like
lore.
This. We may never know.
All the bad.
If you were to find yourself in Vault 3 from Fallout New Vegas, you likely initially would have been very relieved, as it's one of the few control vaults in the series that simply serves as an underground paradise to live in until being opened hundreds of years later after the bombs fall to repopulate the planet. However, as seems to be the case with many things in the Fallout series, not everything went according to plan. At some point during the Vault residents' stay, a large water leak in one of the internal piping systems burst, and this started to cause flooding in large portions of the vault.
Is that where the tunnel snakes come in?
And with no other options, a decision was made to open the vault in order to look for outside help. And this quickly resulted in the inhabitants of Vault 3 finding locals in the wasteland and trading with them for parts to repair the broken pipes.
And then dying.
Sadly though, some of these people they interacted with were actually part of a ruthless drug-addicted band of raiders called the Fiends, who were even rumored to eat people alive. The Fiends managed to trick the Vault dwellers into letting them inside, after which they mercilessly slaughtered and killed everyone without any remorse, with some rumors even stating that they would use the skin of those they killed as masks. Ever since then, the Fiends have managed to retain control of this vital landmark, and it's helped them not only garner more resources, but serves as a strategic spot to combat against adversaries in the wasteland. But more than anything, Vault 3 shows that no matter where you are in Fallout, even the most happy and mundane vaults out there, you only are one small catastrophe away from watching your entire family be slaughtered and eaten before your eyes.
Or one game of blackjack.
As many of you already know, when the bombs first dropped during the Great War that sent Earth into an Armageddon in Fallout, those who had signed up for vaults quickly made their way to shelter to hide from the chaos. But for the residents of Vault 12, they quickly learned that their fate would be much more gruesome than anything outside. This particular vault was running an experiment to see what would happen to humans exposed to great amounts of radiation. And to do this, the doors to the vault were simply forced to stay open, allowing massive amounts of radiation radiation to flow into the quarters, which was outfitted with sensory equipment to monitor
I
the
always thought
inhabitants. Because the
Fallout was
vault was
always like a
located under
first-person shooter.
Bakersfield in California
Or
as
maybe
well,
third, I don't
the
know.
citizens of the vault all started to rush
Not
to the
like
entrance as
this.
the bombs were falling and people were dying. Sadly though, for all of the people that did survive long enough to make their way inside this vault, the massive amounts of radiation started to take their toll. Many families and children started to die as their skin peeled away, and many bands of raiders quickly formed which would kill and steal for survival. Most horrifying of all though,
Kill
a
for
large
survival,
segment of the
okay.
population began to transform into ghouls, with some residents even deciding to leave because of this and set out into the wasteland to find a better home. The remaining ghouls that did stay though founded the city of Necropolis, also known as the City of the Dead, which is a ghoul and plague-filled megastructure built over the ruins of Bakersfield.
That's nice.
These ghouls were all led under the banner of Set, a tyrannical monstrosity whose face has become completely unrecognizable due to all of the radiation that has been pumped into his soul, and this resulted in
Soul?
a very well-known and avoided city in the wasteland.
His
Regardless
soul?
though, even imagining the conditions that the initial inhabitants must have been under in Vault 12 is utterly catastrophic. The screams and agony that must have
A
filled the
skull.
vault during its initial years is staggering, and the pain and suffering that these people went through due to no fault of their own is so sad to see. For at least a little while, life would have been somewhat harmonious in Vault 94 from Fallout 76.
They have
You
seat
see,
bank.
inside was an entire group of non-violent individuals, all hand-chosen for their uniquely pacifistic attitudes,
That's nice.
mostly due to religious values. Even with cramped living quarters and no access to weapons to defend
All
themselves,
Buddhists?
this vault carried on for years in relative prosperity with round-the-clock sermons and feel-good vibes. But
Nice.
little did the vault dwellers inside know that the real experiment of this place was only just about to begin. Because Vault 94's experiment was actually to see what would happen if non-violent pacifists were to come into contact with the outside wasteland post-war. Would happiness ensue, or something much, much worse?
They will all die.
Well, as you probably guessed,
They're
this
weak,
is
they're
Fallout,
sheep.
so it was the latter. After sending out some envoys to spread the news that the Vault dwellers wanted to help the wasteland and join with others allowing them inside to be healthy, in almost no time, a group of raiders caught wind. Making their way inside under the guise of being kind, once fully integrated, the raiders started to open fire and slaughtered all of the dwellers, who screamed and ran for their lives, asking their god how he could forsake them like this. But God heard their cries, and during this onslaught, some of the raiders accidentally triggered some technology in the Gek room, which set off a chain of events that ignited a nuclear bomb, instantly killing everyone and creating the mire we know from Fallout 76.
The
Ironic
fuck?
that one of the most peaceful vaults was also home to one of the greatest weapons of mass destruction known to man. Everyone has their vices, and for many of us, those vices become an addiction that is life-crippling and hard to break. But luckily for the residents of Vault 95 from Fallout 4, they were given a chance at redemption for their sins. Touted as a state-of-the-art rehabilitation facility center, Vault 95 for the first 5 years after the bombs fell served as an amazing place not only for people to relax, but also for them to slowly work through withdrawals to some of the hardest chems and drugs out there. As
Nice.
to be expected though, this paradise didn't last forever.
Yeah,
Because
it's all
as intended in
ex-addicts.
this vault experiment, after 5 years of perfect rehabilitation for most of the residents, a monkey's wrench was thrown into the mix. A Vault Tech agent inside, posing the entire time as one of the residents, had secretly stashed away a massive mix of chems in his room. And now, only a couple of years after the facility's initial inception, it was time for him to wreak havoc. Quickly
Oh,
revealing the stash of drugs to everyone else in the vault, in no time, a select handful immediately relapsed and started to huff and inject everything in sight, becoming maddened and
Well, if I was
drug-induced
addiction, I
maniacs.
think so, yeah.
For others, they locked themselves in their room and
They just
covered
said
their
it.
ears as they heard the screams of fighting and riots outside, begging themselves to
swear to
keep
God.
their promises to stay sober. And for even more people, it quickly became apparent that this entire vault
That's just
was
grim
nothing
what they
but a
did.
ruse,
Everything's
and they
just
took
grim.
up arms and started to kill or damage any Vault Tech property in sight.
Is there any
As
experiment
the
that's not
fumes
like
of
completely
countless
fucking
chems
horror?
filled the air,
Or horror,
along
but
with blood and gore,
cruel?
those hiding in their rooms quickly realized that they had not been offered redemption at all, but rather a one-way ticket to hell. Just
Temptation.
another example of
They
the
offer
sadistic
temptation.
lengths Vault Tech would go to, all in an effort to get research and simply have what they would call fun. preying on other people's biggest weaknesses in their most dire times of need.
Yo, just getting... Oh, tier 4? I didn't expect
The
tier 4 to
beginning days
exist,
of
but
Vault
nice.
11 in Fallout New Vegas would have been some of the best. Spacious living quarters, good food, and a lot of friends to confide in. But those precious days would only last for a short while, because soon after the Vault's initiation, it became clear what the experiment for Vault-Tec was really going to be, and it turned out to be one of the most infamous and insane in history. Every year, the Overseer was instructed
Sounds
that
great.
one person in the vault must be sacrificed to the internal vault mainframe. Otherwise, the entire vault would be filled with gas and everyone would perish. Initially, though, the first Overseer hid this information in history. Every year, the Overseer was instructed that one person in the vault must be sacrificed to the internal vault mainframe. Otherwise, the entire vault would be filled with gas and everyone would perish.
That's not a mechanism, right? It's not like if that doesn't happen, it automatically happens, right? It's more like if they don't do it, then we press a button.
Initially, though, the
Still fucking retarded. Just for the fun. Oh god. You know how fucking annoying that is. It's the same like with... Oh shit, Expedition 33, right? Like, every year you know somebody dies. Or more of them, just somebody dies. It's so annoying. But this is worse. Each year it could be you. Great. It's like being on death row. It's like being on death row.
first Overseer hid this information from participants signing up to live in the vault walls. So when it was finally revealed
What an
after people
asshole.
were sealed away post the bombs falling, a riot broke out, and it was voted that the first person to die would be the Overseer himself.
Good
And
job.
now, this tradition stuck. And from that point forward, every year a new person would be voted in as the Overseer, after which they served their term for a short time, and then they had to sacrifice themselves to the Vault mainframe in order to appease it and prevent mass genocide. This cycle carried on for over a decade, and slowly over time many different so-called voting blocks began to form, who would put up posters all around the vault on who everyone should vote for, and band together as a tribe to ensure none of their own people would get the Overseer position.
Nice.
The strongest of these blocks, known as the Justice Block, was led by a man named Roy, who had recently gotten into an altercation with another vault dweller named Nathan. Because of Roy and the Justice Block's power, it became clear that their hatred of Nathan would surely result in him becoming the next Overseer and promptly dying afterwards. So his wife Catherine Stone went to the Justice Block and begged and pleaded them to let her husband go. After all, he was a good family man and he didn't deserve the harsh treatment. Horrifyingly though, the Justice Block agreed to not vote for Nathan on one condition. They would all
For
have to
her.
constantly have their way with Catherine whenever they wanted, one of the most twisted forms of sexual coercion.
The fuck? Oh god, man. Humans are...
The series has ever seen.
Oh.
Catherine reluctantly agreed because of how much she loved her husband and wanted to save him, and for days on end, she was abused and taken advantage of. Until one day, Roy and the Justice Block started to laugh in Catherine's face, and after all of the torture she had been through, explained to her that they still, despite what she had been through, were going to vote for Nathan as the next Overseer.
Okay, I didn't see that
Catherine,
coming,
in
but
a
it makes
fit
sense.
of rage and confusion, descended into pure madness and murdered multiple members of the Justice Block
How?
on the spot. This mass killing freaked out a majority of the Vault, many of whom did not know the true meaning behind it, and thus Catherine was swiftly voted as the next Overseer, ironically saving her husband in the end, after all. But now with the power of the Overseer's position, Catherine decided to change the rules just a little bit. Instead of a vote being held to select the next person to sacrifice, it would now come down to random chance. All of the blocks inside
Finally.
the vault immediately freaked out, with some saying they needed to wait until their members got the roll again.
Because it's fucking freaky, right? If you have no control, if it could every fucking year be you, I swear to God. Look, you know about most of the death sentence or death rows, right? Like, you're being told like ahead, like I don't know, half a year maybe, a year ahead, and in between you can still like fight a legal battle or whatever, right? You can still write to your governor or whatever. Now guess Japan. In Japan, you're being told that you're gonna die the morning off. Not even the morning off, I think. I think they just opened the cell and they're like, yo, let's go. And you're like, where? And they're like, your execution, you're dying today. And you're like, fuck. That's fucking... Imagine that mental torture. Imagine that mental torture of everyday thinking, hey, they could knock on my door tonight. Yo, homie, what you up to? We're watching, we're educating ourselves a little bit about Fallout.
So they could change the rules
and
all
the
over.
worst vaults.
But before anyone could think more rationally,
What was
inside
it?
the vault, Catherine was swiftly voted as the next overseer,
Exactly.
ironically saving her
Then
husband
she
in
changed
the
the
end,
rules.
after
Oh, yeah.
all. But now with the power of the overseer's position, Catherine decided to change the rules just a little bit. Instead of a vote being held to select the next person to sacrifice, it would now come down to random chance. All of
Chaos.
the blocks inside the vault immediately freaked out, with some saying they needed
How can she even change the rules, though? Can they unchange the rules
to
again?
wait until their members got the role again so they could change the rules all over.
Oh,
But
yeah.
before anyone could think more rationally, more riots started to break out, and all of the blocks started to go into an all-out war, resulting in the deaths of almost everyone inside of the vault until only 5 people remained. These 5 vault dwellers, now witness to one of the most tragic and horrifying experimental results in vault history, decided that for the first time ever,
I
they
hate
wouldn't
Nate.
sacrifice anyone in the coming year. Too much death, too much bloodshed, and too much sadness
wonder what
had
Nate's
already
last
occurred
name
in
is.
these walls, and it was time for it to finally end. But when that fateful day came to tell the Vault's computer mainframe that they would not be picking anyone for this year, instead of the Vault killing everyone, congratulations music began to play, and the mainframe happily exclaimed that the Vault dwellers had finally figured out the real experiment of the Vault, and that by having the human decency to save one another, the experiment would immediately end, and they could now live their lives in peace, free to come and go within the Vault as they pleased.
No!
Suddenly, immense guilt and surprise befell the remaining survivors, as they realized all these years of torture and sacrifice had been for nothing. And this emotional trauma led all of them to sit in a circle and take their own lives one by one, unable to bear the brunt of everything they now knew. In fact, only one single survivor did not off themselves here. And as the vault door opened, they were now the only remaining human being
That's crazy.
from this twisted place, now forced to live the rest of their
Why even kill
days
yourself?
in pure agony. It's one of the most twisted vault stories in the entire Fallout franchise, without question. And it goes to show that when humanity has their backs against the wall, sometimes it can result in the most horrifying things out there. A vault full of betrayal and sacrifice alike, both for good and bad reasons, and also a strict reminder of how far we will go as humans to protect ourselves
fucked
and
up-
those we care about
fucked
when
up
our
vault.
lives are on the line. Tribalism and reluctance to help one another tore this place apart, when in reality, simply working together from the start would have resulted in one of the happiest vault stories of all time.
Yeah, but only in that
And
one.
That makes it even more tragic. Well, seemingly
There's
every
also a
vault
chance
in the
that if-
Fallout universe has
Let's be real, like, there's a chance that if they didn't do it, they would have just all died to the gas or whatever.
to some extent a crazier sad
It is
story.
what it is.
Few are as horrifying as the tale of Vault 92 from Fallout 3. Set amidst the backdrop of the capital wasteland in Washington, D.C., the Vault was supposed to be a promised bastion of hope that would preserve musical talent and artistic expression post the Great War, inviting in only the best of the best musicians from around the world. However, the actual experiment taking
could go
place
wrong
was
there?
one designed to drain every last bit of hope out of humanity instead. Because inside the walls of this elusive vault was a home away from home. Nice equipment and state-of-the-art technology meant residents inside would be able to survive for over 100 years, and spread all around the vault were some of the most expensive and top-of-the-line musical instruments that throughout the day the talented musicians would play to their heart's content. It truly was, for a time,
And
one of the
then?
most beautiful places in the wasteland. But behind this beauty lied a dark secret, one that also involved the cascading of invisible sound waves. You see, the true experiment behind Vault 92, one that only the Overseer knew about, was a new highly classified and experimental invisible weapon known as the MWM-SCE,
Oh,
or
fuck.
White Noise Mind Suggestion Combat Experimentation. This experiment was meant to try and induce a form of mind
But why? Why musicians? They got better hearing. They're more susceptible for that. Why take musicians for that? And wasn't it supposed to be like depriving them of all hope somehow?
Control over subjects by emitting large amounts of barely noticeable white noise sound waves that could quite literally control how people would think and act. At first, in the early periods of the Vault, this weapon was used only in short trials and bursts, but they proved extremely effective. For example, easily making two Vault dwellers fall in love with one another who previously had no feelings at all. The true horror of the Vault only started after this, though, once the white noise plan was fully implemented. Inside the Vault, in every room, every common area, and even the bathrooms, classical music started to play non-stop. But hidden inside the sine waves of these musical functions was a secret white noise signal that was being pumped into all of the Vault residents' brains non-stop. And for a while, it seemed like the experiment had been a success. Over a third of the musicians in the Vault had entered what looked like a trance-like state and had become completely obedient, meaning the hope for using this technology for full control of humanity in the future looked bright. But suddenly, just as things started to look promising, they took a turn for the worst. Some of the residents in this trance-like state started to deteriorate quickly, with some quickly ripping their own skin off of their faces and eyes out of their sockets, screaming and grunting like wild animals. Others succumbed to a maddening rage and started to attack other residents, pulling their bodies apart limb from limb as they banged their mutilated bodies into walls, screaming for help. And maybe even more horrifying, others would simply fall to the ground and look aimlessly into space, trapped now in their own minds, endlessly in a nightmare of sorts, locked in with nowhere to hide. It was quite clear that the white noise signal was the cause, but fearing a shutdown of all of the research, the Overseer ordered the remaining security guards to instead open fire on the innocent residents as the minds of everyone inside quickly warped into prisons of pure torture, the likes of which we couldn't even imagine. Blood and gore covered the walls of each section of the Vault. Human souls haunted the halls, and still inside, the rings of this invisible contagion raged on. And as the final hours came upon this possessed place, the foundations started to crack as a massive flood of water entered the Vault, sealing away some of the biggest horrors in history. Not only was there a secret experiment going on that the residents had no idea would happen, but the Vault itself was built next to a huge underwater reservoir of water that looked to almost be purposely there to destroy the experiment forever after it was done. Without a doubt, one of the most appalling and dreadful situations that any Vault residents have ever been put into. Because in a way, as scary as the outside world can be, especially the world of Fallout,
where are the Vault Tech guys during all those experiments?
From within us, inside our minds, and the prisons and nightmares that they can subject us to, even with just a little bit of a push from something like white noise. One of the worst parts about any Fallout Vault is all of the innocent people that are attached to these twisted and sick underground dungeons. And do you know what is more innocent than anything out there? Kids. And that's why the experiment that took place in Vault 75 from Fallout 4 may be one of the most disturbing of all time. Located directly beneath a Boston school, this vault lured in unsuspecting families by giving them all subsidized vault access in the event of bombs falling, all in close proximity to where their children would be. But at the dawn of the Great War, when all of these families made their way to the vault, once inside, the parents were immediately separated from all of the children as they were told they had to undergo orientation, after which they were all put into a room and slaughtered like cattle. Now alone and afraid, the kids were gathered up by the scientists in the vault. They were told they had to undergo orientation, after which they were all put into a room and slaughtered like cattle. Now alone and afraid, the kids were gathered up by the scientists in the vault and locked away in rooms for further study. Because in Vault 75, the real experiment going on was a study into so-called refinement of human genetics. For years, the children were brainwashed by the scientists about the outside world that they called Up Top Land and how it was a horrible and mean place to live, which scared any of the kids away from trying to break out. And this gave researchers in the vault
never works with kids. Kids always, there's always 1, 2, 3 kids super curious. They're gonna infect the others. Kids' curiosity that you can't. If you say, yo, you go outside, you're gonna die, there's always somebody who's like, I bet I won't.
ample time to experiment on
It is what it
human
is.
embryos and young children alike, trying to make the strongest and smartest human beings possible. The most horrifying part of all, though, only happened once each child turned 18. For those that were very intelligent
killed
but
them.
not strong, admittance into the research team was granted, after
Nice.
which they would torture many other children that they called friends for years.
Oh.
For the 18-year-olds who were amongst the strongest, immediately on their birthday, they would be taken away and harvested for their organs for further research and experimentation. And saddest of all, the 18-year-olds who displayed no superior
Gary.
genetics or abilities were discombobulated and stripped of skin in front of an audience. Truly, one of the most sick and
Why?
twisted vault experiments in Fallout, not only because of the gruesome nature of the tests and trials, but also because of the people that it was being done to. The most innocent beings one could possibly imagine, children. As to what happened to the vault later on, not much is known, but at some point it eventually was abandoned and overtaken by the Gunners faction in the game when we find it. Some people even believe that the Gunners themselves actually stem from some of these kids that were being experimented on. And you know, despite how evil Vault-Tec already obviously was, a vault like this reminds you that the people at this company quite literally had no humanity left. Some of the designers behind this vault and experiment even had kids of their own back home, knowing full well that other families would suffer while theirs were fine.
Yeah.
Even in a world full of monsters, ghouls, and massive amounts of radiation, nothing is more scary than that. More scary than human beings and our ability to turn into the most evil things imaginable. As human beings, we crave attention. Constantly, whether it be on social media, fictional worlds, or even in real life, the true goal of most people is to be admired in the eyes of others. So when constructing Vault 77 in Fallout before the Great War, scientists wanted to test this exact idea. On the day the bombs fell, a broadcast was sent out to all citizens who were to make their way into the vault. But when one lonely person got there, a man referred to as the Puppet Man, for which you will see why later, he noticed that he quite literally was the only person in the vault. Confused, he looked all around yelling for help from other people, but there was no answer. And suddenly, he heard the vault door closing. He rushed to
Forgot
the
all the other
entrance, but it
fucking
was
people.
too late, as he banged on the door screaming and pleading to be let out. But as hours turned into days, and days to weeks, it became clear to the Puppet Man this wasn't going to happen. Even though there was ample food and water to survive inside, especially for just one man, he slowly started to descend into madness, crying and screaming constantly, asking for help or where everyone had gone. He would pace back and forth constantly, draw on walls, or sing tunes to himself in made-up languages, all to try and maintain composure in this heinous experiment. But just on the verge of committing the unthinkable and ending his own life, he
Nice.
stumbled upon something strange. Something he had missed in one of the corners of the vault before. A massive box of puppets. Because he had had no stimuli for so long now, the man quickly gravitated towards the box and
Obviously.
started to play with the puppets to keep himself occupied. He put on fake plays, gave all of the puppets names, and created elaborate backstories to fill in their characters. But
Mr.
then,
Hat.
something strange happened, and one of the puppets started talking back. Astounded, the man freaked out and jumped for joy. It looked like he finally was going to have what he needed most, friends. For
No,
days on
insanity.
end, the man would talk to the puppets using different voices for each, talking to himself with just his hands. And he even crafted full-on storylines and drama between many of the different puppets, all in an attempt to maintain the little bit of sanity he still had left. But one day, in this twisted fairy tale created in his diseased mind,
Oh
a
shit, that story's
murder
too
occurred.
funny.
The king puppet, maybe one of the single most important, had perished, and everyone in the puppet town was up in arms, not sure who to blame. But talking with a Vault Boy puppet, the man was told it was in fact him who had done the killing of the king. Horrified at what he had done, and scared for his life at the
big
hands of these
scorpion.
inanimate objects who he talked to through himself, the lone vault dweller and his one Vault Boy puppet made an attempt to escape the vault with the puppet firmly attached to the man's hand. But when they got to
How?
the entrance, an even bigger discovery was
How
made.
does he
The
make it-
vault door
how does he open it?
was already open,
Oh.
and not only that, it looked like it had been opened for years. This lone man, driven to insanity through isolation and nothing to do, hadn't even noticed his freedom had been there the whole time, instead dipping deeper and deeper into madness at the hands of his own mind, creating a false reality. However, at this point it was too late, and the lone dweller now stepped out of the vault, no longer a man, but a monster. In the wasteland, there are tales that the first band of raiders the man encountered laughed at him in awe of how strange he was, taking him back to their camp to show others. But all we know is that when the raiders were later found, they and their entire camp had been massacred, with blood and human organs spread everywhere, and the smiling face of a man and his demented puppet on his hand, miles away walking the wastes. And it makes you wonder,
They tied up
was
the
the
puppet
experiment
too.
about protecting this one man from all of civilization, or protecting all of civilization from this one man? Something we may never know. You know, for a
Puppet
series
man.
all about nuclear bombs and their
Damn, kinda
devastation,
interesting
you would
though,
assume
actually.
radiation is the scariest thing in the wastelands of Fallout. And don't get me wrong, it is cause for so many horrible and odd
fuck?
things. But there actually is another substance that
ghoul.
is even more horrifying and detrimental to the human body. And
Or
there's
maybe
no
not.
better way to look into this mystery contagion than Vault 87 from Fallout 3.
Oh, that's
the
some nice
original
fucking
experiment
mutants.
for this vault, while still mostly unknown, nowadays doesn't matter all that much and that's because what did become of this vault instead is likely much worse than whatever else Vault Tech had planned. Because before Vault 87 could even go into full operation, it actually was taken over by the US government and top biotechnical firms for research. Completely hidden away from the public under top secret protocols, this vault was to be the testing grounds for Dr. Wayne Merrick and his staff, top researchers doing further studies into FEV, or the Forced Evolutionary Virus. For those of you that don't know, FEV was originally created by the United States government in 2073, 4 years before the bombs fell, as a countermeasure of sorts to China's
Is that
bioweapons
late?
program. Originally called the Pan
Oh, the
Immunity
bombs fell
Virion
fucking, like,
Project, the United
2000s.
States was looking for a way to genetically enhance US citizens through injection to biologically make them immune to China's new contagions. However, the program turned out to be a lot more sinister than was intended,
play
and
with
after
chill and
animal
watch
trials
that.
for only a few years, human beings
I'm gonna go
were
to bed 'cause
next.
I'm super
And one of the
tired.
facilities where extensive testing
gonna
was
sleep.
done was Vault 87 in the Capitol Wasteland. Inside, multiple male and female test subjects were kidnapped and strapped to chains on chairs in rooms with one-way glass. Outside these rooms, scientists would sit and monitor as they slowly injected each subject with varying amounts of FEV and waited for results. For the males, their upper body strength began to massively improve,
Nice.
and for both males and females, the toughness of their skin gradually increased along with the thickness. But along with this, also came massively elevated levels of anxiety and aggression. And
Yeah, it's
suddenly,
always
some
aggression,
of the
right?
subjects started to form harrowing mutations on their body in the form of massive swells of pus-filled balls, with some even becoming enraged and trying to escape and kill on sight. Because of this, immediately most of the subjects were terminated without remorse. But over time, the remaining test subjects themselves were eventually able to rebel, even with the extensive security protocols. These subjects, these human beings,
Damn.
have been transformed into massive hulking monstrosities known as super mutants. In fact, almost all of the super mutants you see in Fallout 3 originate from this vault, because after taking it over, the super mutants began kidnapping more people in the wasteland to bring back and dip into the green substance, they called it, which transformed these innocent people into super mutants. And on top of this, the super mutants at Vault 87 were also being experimented on by a specific strain of FEV called EEP, or the Evolutionary Experimentation Program, which resulted in them being much more dumb and confused than other super mutants we've seen in the series on
Dumb?
the West Coast. Regardless though, the people inside this vault for hundreds of years overwent unbelievable amounts of pain and torture, quite literally transforming into monsters before their very eyes and losing everything that made them human in the first place. Imagine having to sit strapped to a table as people
Even if it
watched your
looks good.
body discombobulate and conform into something you couldn't even imagine, and as you slowly lost your mind and understanding of the universe. Going to this vault in Fallout 3, it's a long reminder of
Where's
this
Mariposa
past,
again?
and you will find
Some of
many
that
dead
seems
test
familiar.
subjects and blood and gore in multiple rooms, along with countless logs about what really happened at this top secret test facility,
idea.
committing some of the most heinous acts imaginable. And it really makes you stop and think when you realize our actual governments in real life have done similar things like this before, and it's crazy to know that things this evil can actually happen. For most vault dwellers in Fallout, their lives
my
inside the
government
vaults
has-
would have been
You
filled
know, my
with
government, but my history, my government has done super fucked up shit. Same for Japan, right? Unit 731 or something.
Pain, horror, and sadness. But as bad as these fates would have been, being subject to some truly insane human experimentation
super
and
high-tech.
torture, the saving grace of it all would have been that at least at some point it would all end. Either in your own death or the downfall of the entire vault entirely, the madness would at some point finally come to a conclusion.
In
However,
this one it doesn't.
there is one especially evil vault from Fallout 3 where this would not have been the case, and instead, you would have been subject to an eternity in hell. Vault 112.
How did they
Because
keep you
inside the
alive?
vault was an experiment being run using something called Tranquility Lane, a prototype for advanced virtual reality software that was meant to give humanity a home away from home after the bombs fell in the hard-to-live-in wasteland. When you first enter the vault, you are approached by a robo-brain who tells you to enter a pod, and when you enter the main control room, you are met with a massive structure and sleeping pods, which if you enter, you are transported into the simulation. Inside is a nice middle-class suburban town, where you and every other vault dweller who has been trapped here for years is living out their lives in pure bliss. It actually seems really nice at first, especially compared to most of the other places you have been to in Fallout 3, but quickly, this facade drops. As you approach an innocent-looking girl near the playground, an older German man's voice greets you, and you slowly uncover the true meaning behind this experiment. The voice you are hearing is none other than Dr. Braun, creator of the Garden of Eden creation kit, and he brings to your attention that he is actually running this experiment over and over for his own sick pleasure. He is connected to a nearby pod outside the main facility, and inside the simulation, he is over and over again killing innocent people and terrorizing or torturing them in whatever way he sees fit. And
Okay.
this time, he wants you to try and do some of the killing. Because in this simulation, each time the doctor has stalked and mercilessly tortured or picked off each individual, he starts it over again and gets off on this sick twist endlessly. Over and over again, these innocent vault dwellers are subject to true horror and murder all within their own head, but
Poor
still
Timmy.
feeling the fear and pain only for their memory to be wiped and for the simulation to start all over. For years and years, over thousands of simulations, this one heinous doctor has been killing and torturing these people endlessly, and they aren't even aware of it, meaning they must feel the full fear of death for the first time each time. And compared to most other vaults, Vault
That's me-
112
that's
really
not very
is
nice.
just a different level of evil entirely. I mean, seriously, imagine being subject to the worst cruelty imaginable, not only for the one life you have, but for infinite lives, trapped away in a pod containing your body, but your soul and mind caged away like an animal.
But how does it keep
And
you
it
alive?
really makes you wonder what else could be out there in other vaults.
Can't you
or
escape from
even
that shit?
Whether some of the
Jeez.
journeys we are going on in other games are even real in the first place. And finally, I wanted to go over what just might be the scariest and most horrifying vault in the history of
Alright, let's
Fallout.
go.
And it's not what you're expecting, because Vault
Okay.
63 in Fallout 76 is anything but flashy. In fact, as of writing this, it hasn't even been officially released to the game, but will be here in just a couple of weeks. And while after the release it surely will not be too terrifying or gruesome, the reason it's horrifying right now, and the reason I wanted to put it as the last on my list, is because, well, because of the fear of the unknown. After all, isn't that the real scariest thing about all of these vaults in Fallout? The wild experiments you have to uncover, the sadistic stories you must piece together from terminal
the fear of
logs
the
or
unknown.
environmental storytelling.
Nothing.
And that rush of adrenaline you get from stepping inside of one of these human dungeons for the first time. Because it's that very essence which makes Fallout as a series so special in the first place, and even more so, the vaults being such a key part of that. Because no matter what crazy stories or twists and turns we will get from future games and shows, remember that the fear of the unknown, of what's out there, has always been at the heart of why we love vaults so much, and also the true key to what makes them so insane and scary. Simply the idea of knowing that so many still lie undiscovered and that there's so much more for us to find out there
Yeah.
is what makes this series so great, especially when
The
a
really-
lot of it is
really scary
probably
part is, though,
extremely heinous things
no new
we
Fallout
couldn't
until
even imagine.
2030.
And that's why we all love Fallout. But as always, thank you guys so
That's
much
it.
for watching. Videos like this take an absolutely massive
All
amount
right.
of time and
I'm gonna
effort,
dip now.
with over 50-page scripts, tons of research.
Scripts, Jesus, poor guy. Wrong, right. Where's my song? It's here. Alright.
Aggressively,
I'll be back tomorrow.
we all defend the road.
I put myself back down.
We all
that here?
defend the role we play.
Alright. I'll be back tomorrow, 8:15 p.m. CET. Usual time, replaceable face.
Times come
No idea what we're
to
gonna do.
send
Maybe
you on
the same
your
stuff
way.
as today, and we'll see.
We've seen it
We'll see.
all.
Alright.
Bonfires of trust,
Have a good night. See you
flash
tomorrow. Thanks for
floods of
watching.
pain.
Bye bye. Get
It
well
doesn't
through the
really
Monday.
matter, don't
I know
you
it sucks.
worry, it'll all work out.
Bye bye.
No, it doesn't even matter. Don't you worry, that ain't what it's all